Chapter 1. Shi Shang was a stepmother-type author who dug holes but didn't fill them up. She had countless eunuchs and screwed the male and female leads to their deaths. On a fine and sunny day, she finally understood a principle. If you dig a hole and don't fill it, you will suffer retribution. At this time, she was squatting in front of an LCD screen that was half the height of a person. Her heart was throbbing with pain. Just a second ago, she was still telling the readers that the male protagonist was turned gay by the supporting male protagonist, and the female protagonist was going to turn straight, leaving the male protagonist alone. How did she end up here in the blink of an eye? I want to go back. I have already told you the conditions for going back. You have 5 seconds to consider. If you exceed the time limit, you will be obliterated. The voice was flat and cold like a machine, without the slightest vitality. Shi Shang. Sure enough, the system obliterates people at the slightest provocation. So King cruel. At this time, the LCD screen of the book began to count down. 5, 4, 3. Do it, do it, do it, do it. For the sake of her life, Shi Shang immediately surrendered without any backbone. She wants to go back and dig a hole. She wants to go back and write a melodramatic story. She wants to go back and kill the male and female protagonists. Sob, 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 who told her to be a stepmother. As an author, she couldn't be more familiar with the system's novel. She used to cough, cough. This novel seemed to be unfinished. But she knew the process. At this time, the countdown on the screen disappeared, and 2 lines of data appeared. Name, Shi Shang. Morality, 100,000 points. 0-inch nanny? So simple? What about intelligence, strength, spirit, and appearance? This is not in line with the system's style. Also, why is my morality 100,000? Looking at the string of zeros, Shi Shang's heart ached even more. She had to destroy this string of 0 before she could go back. When can she go back? Thinking about it, she didn't do anything like murder or arson. How can it be so negative? Authors are gods. They will give the characters an image, life, quality, and create a world, and this world will give the protagonist a heaven-defying luck. However, not every author's main character would have a heart that matched their luck. As a result, some of the supporting characters would die, resentment would grow, and the world would face collapse. The host's mission is to enter different worlds and fulfill the wishes of the unjustly deceased supporting characters to eliminate their resentment. To put it bluntly, his character had collapsed. You still haven't answered my question. Why is I worth 100,000? This is more important, it's related to the problem of going home. When the host's character exceeds 200,000, the host will be erased. Nanny? There was a lower limit? That was enough. Initializing teleportation. F***CK. Why didn't this system follow common sense? Wasn't he going to tell her about the mission reward? Are you not going to give me a newbie gift pack? Are they not going to provide employment guidance? Are you not going to give me a cheat? Shi Shang only had time to curse before he blacked out. Miss, we're here. A clear female voice rang in Shi Shang's ears. Shi Shang opened his eyes abruptly and found himself sitting in a car. The door next to him was open, and a woman was standing outside the car, bending over and looking at him. Shi Shang was speechless. That stupid system didn't even explain clearly before throwing him out. F***CK. Miss, are you not feeling well? The woman saw that Shi Shang didn't look well and suddenly became nervous. Do you want to rest in the car for a while? There's still some time before the banquet starts. Okay. Calm down. Calm down. I'm probably using someone else's body now. The woman's words gave Shi Shang a chance to receive the plot and the memories of this body. The woman closed the car door and sat back in the passenger seat. Shi Shang quickly closed his eyes to receive the plot. Do you want to receive the plot and memories? Yes/no. The cold electronic voice of the system kept refreshing Shi Shang's mind. Shi Shang took a deep breath and said yes in his mind. Plot transfer. Shi Shang's head felt heavy and painful, as if it was stuffed with iron. Countless scenes flashed through his mind. She gritted her teeth to prevent herself from making any noise, so as not to attract the attention of the person in front. The original owner was called Su Chengyue and was a rich second generation. Her family doted on her, and when she just entered university, she got engaged to Nangong Jing. The Su family's wealth naturally couldn't be compared to the Nangong family. The reason why she could get engaged to Nangong Jing was because of the promise made by the older generation. However, Nangong Jing didn't like her as his fiancée, so he treated Su Chengyue coldly. Su Chengyue, on the other hand, truly liked Nangong Jing. Even though she had been rejected many times, she did not lose heart. Her pride as a rich girl was completely hidden away in front of this man. She remembered every single one of Nangong Jing's likes and dislikes, and every single word he said. Su Chengyue thought that one day, Nangong Jing would be moved by her. However, even when Su Yi appeared, Nangong Jing still didn't like her. Nangong Jing, who was always cold in front of her, would treat Su Yi gently and considerately. Su Chengyue couldn't accept this and appeared in front of Su Yi as his fiancée, warning her to stay away from Nangong Jing. When Su Yi found out that Nangong Jing had a fiancée, she really kept her distance from him. Nangong Jing knew that it was because Su Chengyue went to find Su Yi, causing Su Yi to hold a grudge against him. He wanted to break off the engagement with Su Chengyue. Su Chengyue naturally refused. She cried and threw a tantrum, but she couldn't change Nangong Jing's decision to break off the engagement. As for Su Yi, she had also been coaxed back by Nangong Jing and continued to be with him. Faced with Su Chengyue's questioning, Su Yi always acted like a little white flower who had been wronged and expressed that she would leave Nangong Jing. However, after saying these words, there was no result. The two of them only became more brazen in their public displays of affection. Su Chengyue couldn't take it anymore and exposed Su Yi in front of Nangong Jing's parents. Su Yi was only a child from an ordinary working family, so Nangong Jing's parents naturally didn't agree. Nangong Jing had already reached his limit with Su Chengyue's pestering, and because she exposed Su Yi in front of Nangong Jing's parents, he directly made a move against the Su family. The Su family was facing bankruptcy, and with Nangong Jing's instructions, no one dared to help the Su family, and some even hit them when they were down. Father Su and Mother Su both died in a car accident, and the Su family's mess fell on Su Chengyue's shoulders. She was a pampered rich young lady who had never experienced any hardships. It was easier said than done for her to support the ruined Su family in a short period of time. Su Chengyue went to ask Nangong Jing for help, but she didn't even get to see his face. Instead, she saw Su Yi. Su Chengyue was sad and in a daze. She lost her balance and bumped into Su Yi, causing her to fall down the ladder. Who knew that Su Yi was pregnant, and because of her bump, Su Yi had a miscarriage. Nangong Jing was furious, and his last bit of face was ground to dust. The Su family was completely ruined, and Su Chengyue was humiliated to death by the people who came to ask for money. Only when she died did Su Chengyue realize that she had fallen into this state because she had taken a liking to Nangong Jing. If she had left earlier, the Su family wouldn't have gone bankrupt, Father Su and Mother Su wouldn't have gotten into a car accident, and she wouldn't have ended up in such a state. Lightning avoidance. If you like it, then look at it. If you don't like it, then don't look at it. It's a very simple matter. Please don't pick on my character settings, I make the decisions. Chapter 2. In the luxuriously decorated hall, soothing music was playing. Meticulously dressed handsome men and beautiful women stood in groups of 2s and 3s as they chatted. Shi Shang sat in the corner, his expression calm without the slightest bit of discomfort. This banquet was Madame Nangong's birthday banquet, and it was also the day that the original owner reported Su Yi to Nangong Jing's parents. The original owner's last wish was to stay away from that scumbag, protect the Su family, be filial to Su Shi's parents, and let them enjoy their old age. Chengyue, why are you sitting here? Why isn't young Master Jing with you? A beautiful figure sat next to Shi Sheng. The person who came had a head of curly hair that reached her waist and a baby face that was very cute. Shi Shang recalled the person's information in his mind. Blue Snow, a good friend of the original owner. Of course, this was only the original owner's opinion. When the Su family was defeated, Su Chengwei went to ask Blue Snow for help. Not only did Blue Snow not help, she even mocked and ridiculed Su Chengwei. The original owner knew that Nangong Jing and Su Yi were intimate because of Blue Snow. I don't know. Shi Shang expressionlessly replied. Stay away from that scheming B***tch. Stay away from that white lotus. Blue Snow was a bit suspicious but didn't think too much about it. She just thought that she was in a bad mood. After all, no one would be able to stand seeing their fiancé hugging another woman. Changwei, I saw Su Yi just now. Blue Snow's voice was filled with worry, but there was no trace of worry on her face. Young Master Jing is your fiancé. You can't let that woman steal the limelight. Because Nangong Jing's father hadn't retired yet, the circle had always called Nangong Jing Young Master Jing. Shi Shang glanced at her. Blue Snow often didn't try to hide it. Just how blind was the original owner to not see that Blue Snow wasn't that friendly towards her? In novels, the female supporting character's IQ was never online. This saying was absolutely true. How did she get in? Shi Shang didn't want to fall out with Blue Snow, so he casually asked. Of course she knew how the female lead got in. In every novel, other than the male lead, there were also many tall and lofty male supporting characters who loved each other deeply. Su Yi had followed the #1 male supporting lead, Ling Han. She came with the Ling family's young master. That woman seduced young Master Jing and young Master Ling. I don't know where she learned these seductive tricks. She's too shameless. Blue Snow's face was full of anger. Shi Shang was about to speak when a magnetic voice suddenly sounded from the side. If one listened carefully, one could hear a trace of impatience in the voice. What are you doing here? Young Master Jing. Lan Shui immediately stood up. She felt uneasy. Young Master Jing probably didn't hear what she said just now, right? Nangong Jing nodded coldly at Blue Snow. Blue Snow winked at Shi Shang, then turned around and slipped away, leaving some space for the two of them. Shi Shang looked up at him. As the male lead, no one could compare to him in terms of appearance or temperament. Shi Shang clicked his tongue in his heart. His expression did not change, and he had no intention of getting up. I'm not feeling well. Rest. It was still the same voice he was familiar with, but it wasn't as annoying as before. There was only calmness, endless calmness. Did he take the wrong medicine? My mom's calling you. Nangong Jing remembered why he came to find her. In the past, he didn't need to look for her. Wherever he was, she would be there. He could see her just by looking up. But today, he couldn't even see her shadow, and she still had to ask him to look for her. Nangong Jing's heart was filled with anger. Just now, he saw Su Yi and Ling Han here. The two of them were even in an intimate position. Just thinking about it made him angry. His gaze towards Shi Shang sharpened. Why are you looking at me like that? I didn't provoke you today. Shi Shang felt uncomfortable under Nangong Jing's gaze. So what if he's the male lead? So the male lead can be with someone else even though he's engaged? Even if he doesn't like the person he's engaged to, he should first resolve the engagement before being with the person he likes. This is being responsible for both the person he likes and the person he's engaged to. You better behave today. Nangong Jing warned in a low voice. Haha. Do I look like such a boring person? I'm also very busy. Nangong Jing brought Shi Shang to the second floor. Along the way, Shi Shang was very quiet. She didn't talk to him, nor did she touch him. It was as if she was a completely different person. Nangong Jing only thought that she was playing hard to get and didn't take it to heart. The person he likes will never be her. Shi Shang was thinking about how to break the engagement with Nangong Jing. She didn't pay attention to what was in front of her until Nangong Jing suddenly stopped. She bumped into him and took 2 steps back out of habit. You have a problem. Seeing the person standing in front of her, Shi Shang silently swallowed her lines. Does this count as meeting on a narrow path? Su Yi and Ling Han are standing in front of each other. They're even holding hands. The female lead was a pretty girl from a humble family. She was wearing a white dress that wrapped around her slender waist. With light makeup on, her temperament was pure and flawless. Seeing Nangong Jing, Su Yi was stunned. Her eyes were like a frightened deer's, but when she saw Shi Shang standing behind him, a hurt expression immediately appeared on her face. Shi Shang pursed her lips and walked briskly past Nangong Jing. "I'll go to auntie myself." "Miss Su, please don't misunderstand," Su Yi said with a wronged expression. She looked helpless, as if she was really afraid that Shi Shang would misunderstand. Shi Shang paused. She stopped in front of Su Yi and glanced sideways. "Miss Su, what do you want me to misunderstand?" "I didn't say anything just now. Great female lead, what do you mean by delivering yourself to me?" Su Yi choked. She was clearly at a loss for what to do with Shi Shang's attitude. "Su Chengyue, don't go overboard," Nangong Jing scolded from behind. "Fuck, what did I do? You can't even tell right from wrong." Shi Shang endured. "I'm in a good mood so I won't argue with you." "Host, please don't try to kill the male lead." The system's cold voice extinguished any thoughts in Shi Shang's heart. Shi Shang snorted and walked towards Mrs. Nangong's room. Nangong Jing looked at her back and felt a little strange. Today's Su Chengyue was too abnormal. "Help me take good care of her." Nangong Jing looked towards Ling Hao. "You don't need to tell me that. This young master will naturally take good care of the little white rabbit." The mockery in Ling Hao's eyes dispelled Nangong Jing's suspicions towards Su Chengyue. He glared at Ling Hao and patted Su Yi's head comfortingly. "I'll take care of it quickly. Don't worry." Su Yi bit her lip and nodded. The corridor returned to silence. Suddenly, a door was pushed open and two tall bodyguards came out of the room, standing respectfully on both sides. A few seconds later, a man walked out of the room. He wasn't wearing a suit, only a white shirt. His sleeves were slightly rolled up, revealing an exquisite and luxurious watch. His posture was lazy. He looked at the empty corridor, the corners of his lips curled up slightly, and he walked away. Chapter 3. Shi Shang and Mrs. Nangong waited until the banquet started before leaving together. Nangong Jing had left early in the morning, probably because he was worried about Su Yi. Shi Shang didn't like socializing, but in this circle, socializing was a must. Miss Su is getting prettier as she grows older. Young Master Jing is so lucky, unlike our son who still hasn't settled down. A dignified woman looked at Mrs. Nangong enviously, causing the other women around her to chime in. "That's why a good daughter-in-law should be decided early on." That depends on whether she's lucky or not. Look at the Lin family, wasn't she betrothed when she was a child? And the result? The whole family can't be at peace. I'm not talking about Miss Su. Miss Su, don't think too much. They were beating around the bush. Did they think she couldn't tell? Shi Shang gave a perfunctory smile, his eyes full of impatience. If she hadn't woken up to find the car outside, she definitely wouldn't have come in. 3 women make a show. This group of women, how many shows do they have to put on? "Auntie, my father is here. I'll go over for a bit." Shi Shang saw Father Su and immediately found an excuse to slip away. These people were rich and powerful, they had everything. Their only entertainment was to compete. Compete with their fathers, husbands, and children. It was as if winning meant they were better than others. "Papa." Shi Shang walked over to Papa Su and greeted him warmly. "You're here so early. Why aren't you with our Jing?" Father Su looked behind her and didn't see Nangong Jing, so he couldn't help but be puzzled. He has something to do." Shi Shang's smile became more sincere. "Why isn't Mother here?" "Something came up at the company, so she went to the branch office." "Since when did you start caring about us 2 old people? I thought you only had your sweetheart in your eyes." Father Su teased, his face full of joy. It was clear how much Father Su doted on the original owner. "People grow up." Shi Shang blinked. Good, good, good. Our girl has grown up. With a new core, of course, it would be different. One of the wishes of the original owner was to be filial to her parents. Papa Su brought Shi Shang to propose a toast to tonight's birthday boy before leading her around the crowd. By the time they'd gotten to know each other, they'd already gotten to know each other. Papa Su was pleased that his daughter was so well behaved today. She had indeed grown up. Shi Shang drank some wine and felt a little dizzy. He told Father Su that he was going to head to the garden to sober himself up. The Nangong family's garden was very big. Shi Shang found a place to sit down. As the night breeze blew, his mind became much clearer. What were you doing with him just now? A voice that contained anger woke up the drowsy Shi Shang. Shi Shang rubbed his face and leaned on the back of the chair to look behind him. There were a few trees behind him, and he could vaguely see two figures standing behind the trees. This voice belonged to Nangong Jing, right? I didn't. She wouldn't mistake this voice even if she was beaten to death. It was Su Yi. What were these two doing? I saw it with my own eyes. Nangong Jing was clearly very irritable. Su Yi, I'm working hard for our future. What are you doing? Seducing men? Jing, how can you say that about me? Did I say something wrong? If I didn't appear just now, would you have continued? Shi Shang's eyes sparkled. What did Nangong Jing see the female lead and Ling Hao doing? Hugging or kissing? To make Nangong Jing so flustered, it had to be a kiss, right? In the original movie, the original owner kept pestering Nangong Jing so that he didn't have time to look for Su Yi. At this time, the original owner had already exposed Su Yi to Mrs. Nangong. At that time, Su Yi and Ling Hao had appeared together. It was very likely that they were hiding and doing something. While Shi Shang was recalling the plot, they had already kissed. What kind of godly twist was this? What did they say just now? This baby didn't hear anything. Please rewind. The intense kissing sounds were particularly clear in the quiet garden. Shi Shang rubbed his chin. These two couldn't be planning to do it here, right? It was a good thing that Nangong Jing still had some sense. He carried Su Yi and walked away. Looking at the direction he was heading, he should be heading back to his room. If she went to catch them in the act now, she would definitely be able to successfully break off the engagement. The heavens were on her side. Shi Shang immediately jumped up from the chair. She fell back into the chair. When she saw that it was a person standing in front of her, she patted her chest in fear. Are you crazy? Why are you standing behind me and not making a sound? Are you trying to scare me to death? The person chuckled and his voice was clear and pleasant. Aren't you angry? He's your fiancé, right? The person was wearing a white shirt and black trousers. His hands were in his pockets as he stood lazily a few steps away from her. The dim light outlined his handsome face and it was so beautiful that it seemed unreal. His eyes were fixed on her as if he was admiring a rare treasure. A faint smile hung on the corner of his mouth. Shi Shang's first impression of this person wasn't how handsome or beautiful he was. Instead, it was the evil aura emanating from this person. He clearly had a deceiving appearance, but there was an evil aura about him that led people into darkness. This person was very dangerous. This was Shi Shang's first thought. She calmly retracted her gaze. You are. In the original plot, there wasn't such a person. Hidden mission triggered. Default acceptance. What? What the hell was a hidden mission? And what the hell was default acceptance? System, are you trying to force a deal? Do you know that this is illegal? Hidden mission. Obtain Chu Tang's true love. Chu Tang. This person was Chu Tang? Are you King kidding me? In the original plot, Chu Tang himself didn't appear, but his name did. He was regarded as a legend in the business world. Chu Tang's company had once suppressed Nangong Jing. It didn't last long and caused the Nangong family some losses. In the end, Nangong Jing still didn't know who did it. She only found out that it was Chu Tang in the complete plot. Obtain his true love? What kind of joke was that? Make this business legend fall in love with her? What kind of joke was this? Yes, if the hidden mission fails, the host will be directly erased. Damn you! You didn't say you wanted to date before. The system pretended to be dead and ignored Shi Sheng. After all, it had already said what it needed to say. Meanwhile, Chu Tang looked at the woman sitting on the chair with interest. Her expression changed from shock to anger, and then from anger to depression. He hadn't answered yet, so why did her expression change so much? I'm going to catch the adulterers. Are you coming? Shi Sheng stood up from her chair and invited Chu Tang. Catch the adulterers. Chu Tang raised his eyebrows. You know who I am? The hidden bodyguard was so shocked that his jaw almost dropped. Someone actually invited the young master to catch the adulterers. Respect, respect. Shi Sheng was dazed for a moment. Oh right. He hadn't introduced her yet. She shouldn't know who this person was. So she shook her head seriously and said sincerely, I need someone to be a witness. Okay. The bodyguard was stunned again. The young master actually agreed. 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 Important things must be said 3 times. Chapter 4. Shi Sheng's face was still tear-stained and her eyes were red. She bit her lip and pretended to be stubborn, which made her look especially pitiful. Auntie, thank you for your love all these years. As a woman, you should understand this. Her words struck a chord in Madame Nangong's heart. Nangong Zheng was not as single-minded as Father Su. He had many women outside, but because Nangong Zheng had always been clear-headed and never allowed them to get pregnant or cause trouble in front of her, she could only turn a blind eye to it. This was what it meant to be in a wealthy family. But now that she saw a young girl, a girl that she liked very much, about to follow in her footsteps, Madame Nangong naturally could not bear it. Her lips moved, but in the end, she did not say anything. Girl, have you thought it through? Father Su asked solemnly. Shi Sheng nodded. Yes. She looked up at Nangong Jing. Her face was heavy and sorrowful, but when Nangong Jing met her eyes, he saw only calmness. Even though there were still tears at the corners of her eyes, there was only calmness in her eyes. Nangong Jing felt that something was strange, as if she should not be like this. But when he thought of the possibility of cancelling the engagement, he suppressed that strange feeling and coldly met Shi Sheng's gaze. Girl Chengyue, this is not a small matter. It concerns the interests of both families. Why don't we discuss this further? Nangong Zhang thought that if Grandfather Nangong found out that the engagement was cancelled, he would definitely be scolded badly. He was most afraid of Grandfather Nangong, so he was the one who did not want Shi Sheng and Nangong Jing to cancel the engagement. No matter if it was for the interests of both families or from a personal point of view, cancelling the engagement was not a wise decision. If it wasn't for that brat, how dare he cheat in his own house? He was too young and impetuous. He would have to teach him a lesson. Mr. Nangong. Chu Tang suddenly spoke, startling Nangong Zheng. He quickly turned to look at Chu Tang respectfully. Chu Tang's lips curved. The girl has made it very clear. Mr. Nangong, don't interfere with her happiness. Nangong Zheng glanced at Shi Sheng from the corner of his eye. She actually managed to get Chu Tang to speak up for her. I know. Chu Tang was a person who could make you go bankrupt at the slightest disagreement. He didn't dare to offend him. Other than Shi Sheng and Nangong Zheng, probably no one else knew Chu Tang's true identity. Therefore, Nangong Zheng's subservient attitude made people wonder who this young man was. But no one dared to ask. Breaking off the engagement required a press conference, so Nangong Zheng temporarily postponed it to 3 days later. 3 days was more than enough time for any unforeseen events to occur. Before Chu Tang left, he gave Shi Sheng a business card. It was a black card with silver embroidery. It was low-key and luxurious, but it was extremely noble. There was only Chu Tang's name and a string of numbers. It was obviously a private number. When Shi Sheng got into the car, Papa Su glanced at him curiously. In the end, he couldn't help but ask curiously, "Little girl, that man?" To be able to make Nangong Zheng so respectful, he really couldn't think of who that person was. Chu Tang. Shi Shang pointed the business card at Papa Su. The two words, Chu Tang, were especially clear in Papa Su's eyes. Papa Su thought about it a few times in his head. Finally, he matched up with the business legend who only showed a blurry side profile. Chu Tang. That Chu Tang? Shi Sheng nodded. Yes, you guessed right. It's that Chu Tang. Then, Shi Shang ignored Papa Su's inner turmoil and calmly entered the number on the business card into his phone. At least that pervert's impression of him wasn't too bad. It shouldn't be too hard to win him over. It was only when they got home that Papa Su came back to his senses. Little girl, you didn't break off the engagement with that Nangong brat because of him, did you? Papa Su's train of thought was very strange. Shi Shang's mouth twitched. Was this really her father? Seeing Shi Shang's sour expression, Papa Su thought he had said something wrong. Don't be sad, little girl. It's that Nangong brat who is unlucky. Chu Tang is a good man. Let's get him. Father, you're awesome. If Chu Tang was so easy to get, then all the women in this world could only buy a block of tofu and smash themselves to death. Shi Shang shook his head, too lazy to pay attention to this father of his who had such a strange train of thought. Now that the engagement had been broken, the first task had been completed, to distance herself from that scumbag. However, if I could step on him a few more times, this baby would be very happy to do so. Without Su Chengyue as the catalyst, would the male and female lead's feelings be so strong? He was really looking forward to it. Lass, wait for me. Tell me, how did you get to know Chu Tang? He actually gave you his private number. Does he like you? Little girl, work harder and get Chu Tang. Make that Nangong brat regret it to death. Hashtag my father's train of thought is very strange. How can I save him? Waiting online, very urgent hashtag the future son-in-law cheated on his own father but encouraged his daughter to chase another man and return with a slap in the face hashtag 3 days later, the press conference was successfully held. Back then, the Su family and Nangong family's marriage had caused quite a stir. Childhood sweethearts, a golden couple, were the typical representatives of this circle. Now that they had suddenly heard that the two families were breaking off the engagement, everyone expressed their 360-degree interest. There was no explanation at the press conference as to why the two families had broken off the engagement. The outside world continued to speculate. And at this moment, the person in question was sitting in a high-end restaurant, staring at a certain pervert. She had only sent Chu Tang a text to test the waters. She never thought that he would actually reply. Not only did he reply, he even agreed to have a meal with her. This was simply too frightening. Shi Shang's lips twitched. Has Mr. Chu seen enough? If it wasn't for the fact that I wanted to chase you, I would have already punched you. They had been in here for almost half an hour and Chu Tang had just stared at her, causing her scalp to go numb and her entire body to stiffen. You just broke off your engagement and now you want to go on a date with me. Miss Su, are you not afraid that the media will spread rumors? Chu Tang's evil gaze swept over Shi Shang's face, carrying a hint of playfulness and ridicule. Shi Shang's left hand pressed down on his right hand. Hold it in. You can't hit him. That's your future partner. Shi Shang's face was stern. I'm just thanking Mr. Chu for speaking up for me that day. But I feel like you. Chu Tang paused, his clear voice rising. Like you want to hit me. Why would I hit you? I want to chase you. Mr. Chu sure knows how to joke. Shi Shang stretched his stiff muscles and revealed an ugly smile. He changed the topic very abruptly. Mr. Chu, aren't you hungry? Why don't we eat first? After sitting here for half an hour, the waiter next to them had already changed his expression a few times. Most importantly, she hadn't eaten much in the afternoon and it was almost 7 o'clock. She was so hungry that her chest was sticking to her back. I'm not hungry. Asterisk flips table asterisk are you even a man? Can't you see that I's hungry? Chu Tang's voice continued. I had afternoon tea when I came out. Damn you! You're having afternoon tea when you're on a date with I. How inhumane! Looking at the woman across from him gnashing her teeth, Chu Tang was inexplicably pleased. His eyebrows curved and the evil aura around him seemed to have been retracted. At this moment, Chu Tang was like an angel that had fallen into the mortal world. Shi Shang was disgusted by this word and decided to eat something to calm his nerves. Chapter 5. Chu Tang didn't speak during the meal. His posture was noble and his movements were elegant. Watching him eat was a pleasure. With a beauty in front of him, Shi Shang's appetite improved. His stomach was bulging. Chu Tang watched as Shi Shang rubbed her stomach and his lips couldn't help but curve up a bit. I'm very curious. Did Chairman Su mistreat Miss Su? Shi Shang paused. Was he saying she ate a lot? Seeing Mr. Chu increases my appetite, Shi Shang replied with a smile. Chu Tang was stunned. Was he being flirted with? 2 hours ago, this girl looked like he was going to eat her up. 2 hours later, she dared to flirt with him. She was quite bold. After eating and drinking to her heart's content, Shi Shang's courage had grown by quite a bit. Oh no! She had always been bold. It was just that she wasn't used to interacting with Chu Tang. It was like a hot drink and a cold one. The combination of the two required a certain amount of time. Mr. Chu, do you have an appointment tonight? What, Miss Su wants to meet me? Chu Tang chuckled. My appearance fee is very expensive. Are you sure Miss Su can afford it? If I can't afford it, I can pay with my body. My flirting skills are already off the charts. There's no need to pay with your body. I'll give Miss Su a discount. 1 million. Chu Tang tapped the table lightly with his fingers. He looked like he was saying, pay up and I'll be yours tonight. The two were silent for a few seconds. Shi Shang asked uncertainly, You're not really going to take my money, are you? Chu Tang raised his chin and nodded his head. Shi Shang. Hee, someone come, drag this pervert out for this bao bao. Shi Shang pondered for a moment before taking out the check Papa Su had asked her to casually write out. She wrote out 10 million for Chu Tang and slapped it down in front of Chu Tang, declaring generously, I'll cover you for 10 days. Chu Tang's slender fingers held the thin check as he looked at the elegant words on it. A trace of wickedness flashed across his eyes. Miss Su is willing to spend a fortune for me. How can I refuse? With that, Chu Tang placed the check in his trouser pocket. He stood up and extended his hand to the Shi Shang in a gentlemanly manner. Miss Su, I'm yours for the next 10 days. You can eat, drink, and sleep with me. The corners of Shi Shang's mouth twitched. For some reason, he felt that he was going to bleed profusely. She had actually taken care of Chu Tang. Just thinking about it made her quite excited. Shi Shang placed her hand in Chu Tang's. His hand was a little cold, but it was very dry. Her hand was quite compatible with his. The two of them walked towards the door. Just as they were about to reach the door, they were stopped. Sir, you haven't paid the bill yet. The waiter's tone was very gentle, but there was some doubt in his eyes. These two people didn't seem like they couldn't pay the bill, so why didn't they pay the bill? They must have forgotten. The waiter was trying to hypnotize himself. After all, the two of them were so handsome and beautiful. Their looks were enough to make people find excuses for them. Shi Shang tightened his grip on Chu Tang's hand. This was so embarrassing. Chu Tang stood there as if it had nothing to do with him. His gaze shifted slightly and landed on Shi Shang. Shi Shang accepted his fate and handed his card to the waiter. Sorry, I forgot. The waiter was overjoyed. He knew that they had forgotten. How could such a good-looking person not pay the bill? After they walked out of the door, Shi Shang pushed Chu Tang away and pointed at him. His chest heaved a few times, but he didn't say anything in the end. This guy must have done it on purpose. He purposely didn't remind her to pay the bill. Since I wanted to hit on you, I won't argue with you. But you better not do it in I's hands. The two of them stood at the door. Shi Shang looked at Chu Tang, and Chu Tang looked at her. It was a romantic scene. Romantic my ass. Mr. Chu, where's your car? Were they just standing there for people to watch? Miss Su kept me, so I asked the driver to go back, Chu Tang said matter-of-factly. Shi Shang was speechless. So how were they going to leave now? She had asked Father Su's driver to send her home. She didn't even drive. Why was a legend in the business world able to adapt so well to being kept as a mistress? Director, did you give them the wrong script? Shi Shang didn't have any cash on him, and Chu Tang didn't even have any money on him. They couldn't swipe their card, and there wasn't a place nearby where they could withdraw money. Shi Shang wanted to laugh at Chu Tang's face. Mr. Chu, can you ask your driver to come back? No. Chu Tang stuck his hands in his pockets. But if Miss Su is paying, I can help. Now I know why you're so rich. What a profiteer. Shi Shang silently swallowed a mouthful of blood. He decided to take Chu Tang to take the bus. He wanted to experience the hardships of an ordinary person. Money. Oh, she was going to use her face. Reality proved that using her face was useful. The bus driver was a young man. Shi Shang coaxed the young man into a daze with a few words. Shi Shang then pulled Chu Tang to the back of the bus. There weren't many people on the bus, and there weren't any seats. Shi Shang had just steadied himself when he saw a girl beside Chu Tang stand up with a red face and give up her seat. Then, she watched as Chu Tang sat down with an expression as if it was only natural. It was clearly an incongruous seat, but he made it look like a luxury car. Everyone around him gasped. F***CK. 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 Chu Tang, where's your face? She's a girl. A girl. How can you sit down like that? Aren't any of you going to stop this? Shi Shang scanned her surroundings. The young ladies who saw this were clearly a bit angry. But they weren't angry because the girls had given up their seats to a man. Instead, they were angry because they didn't have the chance to do so. This was a society that looked at faces. There were quite a few people on the bus behind them, and the spacious seats became much more crowded. Some of the braver girls saw Chu Tang and squeezed towards him, trying to get his attention. Some even asked for his WeChat, phone number, and other social media. Chu Tang's face went from being calm at the start to darkening, and finally becoming impatient. Seeing this, Shi Shang felt relieved. You've been too pretentious, haven't you? Ha 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 ha. Host, a friendly reminder. Chu Tang is your target. Shi Shang had been secretly laughing in her heart when she was startled awake by this cold voice. She rubbed her cheeks and pushed aside the other girls to stand in front of Chu Tang, blocking the wolf-like gazes of the other girls. Hey, do you know what first come first serve is? Go to the back and line up. Don't block my Prince Charming. Someone was unhappy and reached out to grab Shi Shang. Let go. Shi Shang looked at the girl who grabbed him. His expression was cold and his gaze was sharp. The girl couldn't help but let go. Shi Shang smoothed out his wrinkled clothes with satisfaction. His voice was neither loud nor soft, but it was loud enough for the surrounding girls to hear. This man is mine. You can look at him from afar, but you can't profane him. Understand? Those who took the bus naturally weren't rich. Shi Shang was dressed in branded clothes from head to toe. Although they couldn't tell what brand the man was wearing, they could tell that the material wasn't cheap. On top of that, his looks and aura made him look like a young master of a wealthy family. The girls became more reserved, but only in their actions. Their gazes weren't reserved at all. If gazes could seduce people, Chu Tang would have been seduced countless times. Shi Shang's back was facing Chu Tang, so his expression couldn't be seen. However, from the aura he was exuding, he was in a good mood. Shi Shang lowered his head and rolled his eyes. Why was it so hard to chase someone? Chapter 6. It was definitely Chu Tang's first time taking the bus. When he got off the bus, he was extremely uncomfortable, but in order to maintain his image, young Master Chu forced himself to continue acting cool. Shi Shang didn't mock him, but he didn't pity him either. Who told him to call the driver away? calling him back and charging him money? Why didn't he care about money? Sher Shang took Chu Tang for a walk in the park before walking home. The two were so close that even the system couldn't stand it anymore. It didn't find it strange that they were fighting. The system could already foresee the scene of the hidden mission failing. Sher Shang was almost home, but Chu Tang had no intention of leaving. "Mr. Chu, aren't you going back?" Chu Tang put his hands in his pockets and walked towards the villa. "I belong to Miss Su now. Of course I have to go home with her." "Go home." Sher Shang's mouth twitched. Was there something wrong with Chu Tang's brain? Regardless of whether there was something wrong with Chu Tang's brain, Chu Tang still followed Sher Shang home. Father Su was still awake and was sitting on the sofa watching a family drama when he saw Sher Shang and an unfamiliar man enter. He was stunned for a moment before jumping up and shouting, "Girl, you actually brought a man home." After shouting, he finally saw Chu Tang's face. "Oh, wasn't this the man from the other day?" "Chu Tang." Father Su's eyes lit up. He was so excited that he didn't know what to do. "Mr. Chu." Chu Tang smiled. "Chairman Su, sorry to disturb you." "Not at all, not at all. It's an honor to have Mr. Chu here. Please sit. What are you waiting for? Go make some tea." "Sher Shang, you were just yelling at me to bring a man home. You betrayed me in the blink of an eye. Is this your own father?" When Sher Shang came out with the tea, Father Su was already chatting with Chu Tang. When Sher Shang came back down after changing, Father Su no longer called him Mr. Chu. He called him Little Chu. And Little Chu, bah, Chu Tang actually responded. He responded. What happened when she changed her clothes? Had the friendship between the two of them reached a new level? It was too late, and Papa Su couldn't chat with Chu Tang for too long. He urged the Sher Shang to prepare a room for Chu Tang, as if he wanted to wrap her up and stuff her under Chu Tang's blanket. Even if his thigh was thick, there was no need to sell his daughter for glory, right? "Girl, you can do it. Daddy has faith in you." Papa Su gave Sher Shang a cheering gesture. Sher Shang. #my father's brain is a little hard to understand. #Sher Shang followed Chu Tang into the guest room. "Please don't mind my dad's words. If he's wrong, I'll apologize on his behalf." She had no idea what the two of them were talking about, but she had a feeling that it wasn't anything good. "Miss Su, you worry too much." Chu Tang reached out to unbutton his shirt and asked seriously, "Miss Su, are you still not leaving? Do you want me to sleep with you?" "Sleep with your grandpa." Sher Shang left the room and slammed the door shut. The corner of Chu Tang's mouth turned up. His slender fingers unbuttoned his shirt in a few moves, revealing his firm chest. "Girl, girl." Papa Su was standing in the corner. When he saw Sher Shang come out, he waved at her. She was making it look like a thief in her own house. Sher Shang walked over. "Dad, why aren't you sleeping?" "Oh, girl, how can I sleep? What's your relationship with Chu Tang?" Papa Su was so excited that he could run a 5 kilometers run. Who was Chu Tang? A legend in the business world. He rarely even agreed to media invitations, let alone something as private as sleeping in someone else's house. But now, Chu Tang was sleeping in their house. Just thinking about it made him excited. Sher Shang was silent for a moment, then said sincerely, the relationship between a kept man and a kept woman. She had spent 10 million. That wasn't a small amount. It was better to inform Papa Su in advance. Papa Su was so shocked that his jaw almost hit the floor. It took him a while to find his voice again. He was even more excited than before. "Chu Tang kept you as his kept woman? Hey, dear Dad, is this the attitude you should have?" "I kept him as my kept woman." Sher Shang waved her hand weakly. "Dad, go to sleep. It's a long story. I'll tell you when I have time. Don't worry, I'll definitely get Chu Tang." She didn't forget to comfort Papa Su, so that he wouldn't drag her down. Before Papa Su could digest the fact that Chu Tang was a kept woman, Sher Shang wisely slipped back to her room. In the end, when she woke up the next day, she saw a check stuffed through the crack in the door. Having a prodigal father was a mysterious experience. Shishang stood at the door in a daze, holding the check. The door opposite opened and Chu Tang came out, dressed neatly. Seeing the check in Shishang's hand, he raised his eyebrows. "Miss Su, do you want to renew the contract?" "Renew the contract? Is that how you use the word?" Chu Tang glanced at the amount on the check, then took the thin check from Shishang's hand. "Since Miss Su wants to keep me as your kept woman, I won't let you down. I'll accept it without hesitation. The contract will be extended to 1 month. You? Who said anything about renewing the contract?" "I'm hungry." Chu Tang quickly put the check in his pocket. "Shishang. I've seen shameless hooligans before, but I've never seen such a high-quality man rushing to be kept." Shishang considered the possibility of snatching the check back, but could only give up in the end. That's fine too. After all, he'll have plenty of time to improve his favorability. When she went downstairs, Chu Tang and Shishang were walking in tandem. Papa Su was sitting at the dining table, his eyes darting between Shishang and Chu Tang. "Good morning, Dad." Shishang took the opportunity to sit down. Chu Tang stood next to her and looked at her. Shishang's mouth twitched, and she lifted her but to let Chu Tang sit. F***CK, this is a master bought with money. System, are you sure you can conquer this kind of person? Host, please treat him with sincerity. If you don't give your heart, how can others give their heart to you? When it came to answering questions, the system didn't hold back at all. Nonsense, where would I get so much sincerity from? Not to mention that this kind of mission wouldn't appear in the future. If I fell in love with every single one of them, I wouldn't even need to go home. I'd have a nervous breakdown first. Please at least pretend to be a little sincere. Pretend my ass. Shishang gritted his teeth. Fine, I'll pretend. I'll just treat it as training my acting skills. Who knows, I might even be able to enter the acting world when I go home. Chu Tang was very satisfied with Shishang's behavior. He took the milk from her and politely greeted Papa Su. "Good morning, Mr. Su." "Good morning, haha. I still have some things to do at the company. Little girl, treat little Chu well." Papa Su quickly got up and left. Before he left, he didn't forget to give Shishang a look of encouragement. After Papa Su left, Shishang and Chu Tang looked at each other for more than a minute. In the end, it was Shishang who was hungry that she turned her attention to the food. Chu Tang's fingertips tapped lightly on the table, his gaze faintly landing on the girl who was engrossed in eating. The morning light from outside the window poured in, enveloping her within. The lustrous radiance gave her a kind of beauty, purity, and serenity that was untainted by the dust of the world. But he knew that was a facade. The woman sitting across from him had never been so pure. She had an aura that he was familiar with. Darkness and malice intertwined. Perhaps this was a special connection between the same kind, just like how Shishang could see through him at a glance. Chu Tang didn't stay for long. His assistant came to pick him up after Papa Su left. The assistant and Chu Tang walked out of the Su family's front door. The assistant dutifully asked, "Young master, do you need me to investigate the Su family?" The assistant asked this because he needed to investigate the 18 generations of ancestors of the people who had appeared by Chu Tang's side. "No need." The assistant was surprised. He turned to look at the Su family's front door. Was Miss Su different in young master's heart? Chapter 7. When Chu Tang left, he left the 2 checks behind. Shishang took the checks. Did she just provide for Chu Tang for a day with nothing? I've made a profit. Shishang didn't really want to provide for Chu Tang in the first place. With his family's wealth, she couldn't afford it even if she went bankrupt. However, Shishang despised Chu Tang for going back on his word. In order to comply with the system, Shishang sent Chu Tang concerned messages at regular intervals. Chu Tang didn't reply most of the time, but if he couldn't stand Shishang's harassment, he would mercifully reply with a few words. "Don't court death." Yes, it was just 3 short words. Father Su cut off his cooperation with the Nangong family. Perhaps it was to compensate them, but the Nangong family didn't say anything. They didn't even ask for compensation. Without the original owner's death courting, Nangong Jing had no reason to make a move against the Su family. Thus, Shi Shang wasn't in a hurry. She definitely wouldn't let Nangong Jing off. After Mother Su finished dealing with the branch company, she hurriedly rushed back. Mother Su was a strong woman, but in front of Father Su, she immediately turned into a good wife and mother. She didn't show any of her strength. Shi Shang enjoyed spending time with them. They were like a family. However, Mother Su and Father Su both agreed that Shi Shang should provide for Chu Tang. Shi Shang felt tired. Their family's wealth wasn't enough to provide for Chu Tang. Then, she realized that her parents had started working hard to earn money. Papa Su was actually very capable, but what he wanted was for his family to prosper. Mama Su and his daughter were his favorites, and most of his time was spent at home. Now that their daughter could provide for a man, these two clowns' parents were working hard. If the original owner hadn't been half dead and distracted Father Su and Mother Su, perhaps the Su family wouldn't have ended up like that. Thus, people in the circle discovered that the Su group was making money as if they were on steroids. Everyone in the company was happy. Shi Shang had to pack up and go to school when school started. Fortunately, she was very low-key in school and 90% of the students didn't know her, so she wouldn't be surrounded. It was not right to say that she kept a low profile. She basically did not appear in school. Those who knew her were all in that circle. The people in her class probably didn't even know that there was such a person. Miss Su actually came to school. I thought Miss Su was seeking death at home and didn't dare to see anyone. Shi Shang was stopped as soon as he entered the school gate. He looked at the person who blocked his way and a name immediately popped up in his mind. Xiao Wei. This woman was the female supporting character in the novel who was even more miserable than her. They were both female supporting characters. Shi Shang silently lit a row of candles for her and decided not to argue with her. Why should a woman make things difficult for another woman? I'm that great. What the hell? Shi Shang walked around Xiao Wei and was about to leave when Xiao Wei reached out and pushed Shi Shang's shoulder, causing her to stumble. Xiao Wei said sarcastically, "Why aren't you talking? Wasn't he quite arrogant before? Let's see how arrogant you are now." Shi Shang was pushed and the anger in his heart was ignited. Is there something wrong with your brain? If you like Nangong Jing, then go and suck up to him. Why are you finding fault with me? Are you trying to show off your superiority? You haven't even touched Nangong Jing's little hand. What right do you have to show off your superiority in front of me? In any case, I was the one who dumped Nangong Jing. You're scolding me. This woman actually dared to scold her. Wait, did she just say that she dumped Nangong Jing? Xiao Wei instantly laughed coldly. Su Chengyue, could it be that you were provoked by young Master Jing's dumping? How did you chase after young Master Jing in the past? You actually dared to dump him. Aren't you afraid that you'll laugh your head off? When the two families broke off the engagement, there was no explanation. Therefore, outsiders did not know who started it and why the engagement was broken off. However, people tended to imagine the results they wanted. People like Xiao Wei naturally imagined that it was definitely Nangong Jing who dumped Shi Shang and definitely not Shi Shang who dumped Nangong Jing. Whether you believe it or not is your problem. Don't find trouble with me. Your love rival is now Su Yi. Su Yi? The Su Yi from your faculty? As the female lead, Su Yi naturally could not be a nobody. Shi Shang rolled his eyes at Xiao Wei. If it wasn't for your tragic fate, I wouldn't have bothered with you. School starts today. If you don't believe me, you can go to Su Yi's dormitory and wait. See if it was Nangong Jing who sent her here. I'm in a good mood, so I'll point you in the right direction. No need to thank me. Xiao Wei's face was still filled with suspicion. She felt that Shi Shang was teasing her. Although Su Yi was a little famous, her family was extremely ordinary. How could she have the opportunity to come into contact with Nangong Jing who worked in a company? Shi Shang shrugged with an expression that said, "Believe it or not, I've already told you. Don't blame me if you miss out on true love." After Shi Shang left, Xiao Wei still hadn't recovered from her shock. Shi Shang had a dormitory at school. The time that the original owner stayed there could be counted on her fingers. This time, she planned to relive her university life. In order to prevent her family's clown parents from forcing her to keep pervert Chu, she decided to stay on campus. This university had taught many rich kids. After those rich kids graduated from this school and gained a certain amount of influence in society, they would start throwing money at their alma mater to show that they had not forgotten their roots. Therefore, the dormitory at this school was very comfortable. Although it was a 4-person dormitory, it was very spacious. When Shi Shang arrived, there was no one there. She found her location according to the original owner's memories and tidied up her things. She had just finished tidying up when the door was opened. Noises could be heard from outside the door. There were many people playing in the corridor. The person who opened the door was a short-haired girl. When she saw Shi Shang, she was clearly stunned. After a while, she walked in and sized up the bed and desk that Shi Shang had tidied up. "Su Chengyue, you're staying in the dormitory this time?" This roommate of hers had only returned to the dormitory a handful of times in her first year. Now that she suddenly saw her, it would be strange if she wasn't surprised. Shi Shang searched his memory and found this girl's name in the corner. Xia Ning. The original owner's relationship with them wasn't very good. Shi Shang didn't plan on getting closer to them, so he just nodded politely before continuing to read the novel in front of him. Xia Ning stood awkwardly for a few seconds before starting to tidy up her things. Don't cry. That woman is like a lunatic. Hurry and put some medicine on your face. Rich people think they're so great. They're too uncultured." Shi Shang weakly face-bombed. Su Yi, damn, I forgot about that. Su Yi was staying in the same dormitory as her. If it wasn't for the original owner, Su Yi wouldn't have been able to hook up with Nangong Jing. Looks like I'll have to move out. She didn't want to live with the female lead. Her heart felt very stifled. 2 people had already entered the room. Su Yi was being supported by a girl who was full of anger and cursing. Su. When Su Yi saw Shi Shang in the dormitory, she froze in place. There were 5 finger marks on her cheeks. It was obvious that she had been hit. What happened to you?" Xia Ning worriedly went over. The girl supporting Su Yi immediately said, "It's all because of that Xiao Wei. She randomly ran out and slapped Yi." The girl angrily recounted the incident. Chapter 8. Although Xiao Wei didn't believe Shi Shang's words, a woman's curiosity and paranoia went hand in hand, so she still came to the dormitory. She happened to see Su Yi getting out of Nangong Jing's car. As a supporting female lead, she was instantly triggered. After Nangong Jing left, Xiao Wei directly went up and gave Su Yi a slap. How can she be like this? So what if she's rich? Bullying others. Xia Ning's face was also filled with anger. In this dormitory, other than Shi Shang, the other 3 were all children from ordinary families. Xiao Wei was the beauty of the art department and everyone knew that her family was rich. However, Su Yi wasn't in the mood to listen to the 2 people beside her. Right now, she only wanted to know why Su Chengyue was in the dormitory. From the looks of it, was she going to stay here? Did she want to take revenge on her? Just as Su Yi's thoughts were running wild, Shi Shang's phone rang. Seeing the 2 words Chu Tang, Shi Shang's face darkened. Every day, she would express her concern and love. When he was happy, he would reply with 1 word. When he wasn't, he wouldn't even bother with her. Why was he calling her now? The phone rang for about 10 seconds before Shi Shang picked it up. "Go downstairs." 2 short and lazy words, followed by the busy tone. Shi Shang. Damn you. She got up and looked out the window. Sure enough, there was a Porsche parked downstairs. Shi Shang wouldn't be wrong, it was Chu Tang's car. For the sake of that stupid hidden mission, Shi Shang resigned himself to fate and walked out of the dormitory with his bag. Doesn't she not live in the dormitory? Why did she suddenly come back? I don't know, she was already here when I arrived. Xia Ning shrugged. The other girl snorted in disdain. I don't know who's keeping her. I've never seen her come back to the dormitory, and she's even wearing branded clothes. Could it be that she was dumped and that's why she came back? And then, how can you say that about Chungyue? Su Yi whispered. I didn't say anything wrong. Look at her arrogance. Who is she looking down on? Xia Ning ran to the window and looked down, just in time to see Shi Shang standing in front of the car and knocking on the window. Look, is that a Porsche? And Anne and Su Yi went to the window together and saw the eye-catching car below at a glance. Shi Shang seemed to have said something to the driver, then opened the door and got in. Look, I wasn't wrong, right? She's still being kept by someone. And Anne's mouth was full of disdain, but there was some envy in her eyes. That was a Porsche. The person who owned such a luxury car must have a high status. Su Yi forced a smile. Let's not meddle in other people's business. Su Chungyue often did not show her face and did not return to her dormitory. Among these people, other than Su Yi, no one knew that Su Chungyue was the child of a rich family. Moreover, they were unable to squeeze into the upper-class circles. Even if they occasionally heard people talking about her, they would use eldest young Miss Su as a substitute and would not call her by her name. Moreover, Su Chungyue had not been in school for long. Shi Shang was dragged by Chu Tang to attend a high-class banquet. The banquet was full of successful people, the kind that could only be seen on the finance channel. She really did not understand why Chu Tang wanted her to be his female companion. By the time she was sent back by Chu Tang, it was already 11 p.m. Mr. Chu, my appearance fee? Shi Shang stretched out her hand towards Chu Tang. The people at the banquet looked at her inquisitively, almost piercing through her heart. Her little heart was frightened. Chu Tang looked down at the small hand in front of him and reached out to shake it. What are you doing, acting like a hooligan? Shi Shang retracted her hand in disdain. It's very expensive to shake hands with me. Miss Su, you've profited. Chu Tang's lips curved into a faint smile. The dim light in the car outlined his outline, unreal and somewhat erotic, like a seducer hidden in the darkness. Shi Shang's entire body trembled, her pupils constricting. Damn pervert. She opened the door and quickly got out of the car, slamming the door with a bang, and entering the dormitory in her high heels. When Shi Shang opened the door and entered, her 3 roommates were still awake. When Anne saw that she had come back in a set of high-end clothes, she scoffed. It's so late and you're still outside. What are you doing back here? Anne, Su Yi called out, looking at Shi Shang apologetically. Anne doesn't have any ill intentions. Shi Shang coldly glanced at her, took her clothes and went to the bathroom to take a shower without a word. What kind of attitude is that? And Anne's voice was very loud, even through the door. When Shi Shang came out, Su Yi happened to be standing at the bathroom door. When she saw her, she lowered her voice and asked, Why are you staying in the dormitory? Why can't I come? Does your family own the school? Shi Shang looked at Su Yi in amusement. No, that's not what I meant, I just... Su Yi twisted her clothes, her face full of grievance. I didn't expect things to turn out this way. I really didn't do it on purpose that day. But if one looked closely, there was a trace of undetectable pride in her eyes. Get out of the way. She had drunk a bit of wine last night and was now feeling the aftereffects. Right now, she just wanted to sleep and wasn't in the mood to act with Su Yi. I'm sorry. I really didn't expect things to turn out this way. I know that I can't make up for the harm I've caused you. Shi Shang rubbed his forehead and pushed her away. She didn't use much strength. At most she could make her move. But Su Yi fell to the ground. The movement was so loud that it immediately attracted the attention of the other 2. From their point of view, it was as if Shi Shang had pushed Su Yi to the ground. Su Chungyue, why did you push Yi? and jumped off the bed and angrily roared at Shi Shang. Shi Shang gritted his teeth. Female lead, why did you have to do this? Shi Shang decided to play a new game, dismantle the couple. The original owner's last wishes didn't include this activity, but since Su Yi insisted on coming, she had no choice but to play along. She's blocking the way. Shi Shang gave a big smile, full of ridicule. You woman. And I'm fine. She didn't do it on purpose. Su Yi gently explained as she held on to an who was about to explode. Su Chengyue, how could you push Yi? Xianing also walked over, but her tone was much gentler. But there was a hint of disgust between her brows. Since you're going to stay here, everyone should get along peacefully. Yi has a kind personality, don't bully her. Ning Ning, I'm really fine. Su Yi stood up from the ground and shook her head at Xianing with a wronged expression. In Xianing's eyes, Su Yi was afraid of Shi Shang and didn't dare to speak the truth. Her disgust towards Shi Shang grew. The main character has already said that she's fine, so stop poking your nose into other people's business. Shi Shang walked around Su Yi and took 2 steps before slowly turning back. His red lips curved as he said, even if I bullied her, it's because she owes me. Su Yi's expression changed, her heart filled with doubt. She didn't understand why Su Chengyue had suddenly become so unpredictable. In the past, she could fool Su Chengyue with just a few words. But now, she felt as if everything had been seen through. Shi Shang turned around and returned to his bed. Su Yi, didn't you want to act like you owe this baby something? Then this baby will fulfill your wish. A friendly reminder. Regardless of whether you like this article or not, please respect it and don't attack it with words. Every word and paragraph was painstakingly typed out. If you don't like it, please cross it out. Please understand the author's difficulties and hope that you can be a cute reader. Those who have read my previous articles should know this rule. There are no other requirements, just this one. Also, this article will be published. 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 Important things must be said 3 times. Signed. It should be ready in a few days. Chapter 9. She was the only child of the Su family and would inherit the family business in the future, so it was understandable that she chose this major. Perhaps she inherited her father's talent, but even though she spent most of her time running errands with Nangong Jing, her results didn't fall behind. Since school had just started and there weren't many classes, Shi Shang began to look for a house. However, all the houses nearby had been rented out and she might as well stay at home if it was too far away. Without any suitable houses, Shi Shang could only put this plan on hold. Thus, Shi Shang, who had nothing to do, could only read books all day. Those who knew her all thought that she was motivated by the annulment of her engagement with Nangong Jing. However, only Shi Shang herself knew that what she was reading was a pornographic novel of 2 men messing around. Ever since that night, Xianing and had started to dislike Shi Shang more and more. Under Su Yi's intentional and unintentional guidance, Shi Shang had become a gold digger. Are you going to the gala this weekend? And came back from outside and rolled her eyes when she saw that Shi Shang was also present. Senior Ling invited me. Su Yi smiled and nodded. Although Ling Han had already entered the company, he was only an intern and spent most of his time in school. After all, the female lead was here and as her loyal fan, it wouldn't be right for him to be too far away from her. Every year, there were 2 galas at the start of school. One was open to everyone and the other required an invitation. To put it bluntly, one was for the ordinary people in school, just like the freshman gala in university. The other event was prepared for the upper class. Only those who had received an invitation from the student union could participate. Only those who had an invitation could invite one person. So you can go to the West Hall instead of me and Ning Ning? And Anne's eyes were filled with envy and even jealousy. She and Xia Ning could only go to the South Hall. Su Yi smiled embarrassedly. Senior Ling invited me, so I couldn't refuse. And waved her hand. Senior Ling is such a good person, you have to hold on tight. I heard that his family background is quite good. Su Yi's face turned even redder and she squeaked. Female lead, why are you blushing? Do you still remember that your true love is the male lead? Shi Shang silently turned the page of the pornographic book. Your express delivery. Xia Ning pushed open the bedroom door and entered, placing the box in her hands on Su Yi's bed. What did you buy? It's such a big box. Su Yi shook her head innocently. I didn't buy anything. Open it and take a look. And pushed Su Yi over, and Su Yi had no choice but to open the box in front of them. Oh my God, what a beautiful gown! An exclaimed and rushed to take the gown out of the box. It was mainly white and had a waist-tight style. There was a red pattern embroidered on the hem of the skirt, which was extremely eye-catching. This is a gift from Senior Ling, right? He was indeed the Prince Charming that everyone wanted to marry. I'm so envious of you, Yi. Su Yi's lips curled into a smile, her eyes filled with unconcealable pride, especially when she looked at Shi Shang. Of course, this dress wasn't from Ling Hao. She had received it yesterday. Su Chengyue, don't you always drive around in luxury cars? Aren't you going to banquets on the weekends? An envied Su Yi and couldn't help but pick on Shi Shang. Seeing that Shi Shang was ignoring her, and continued to mock. Don't tell me there's no one to take you there? Don't be jealous of our Yi. How could someone like you have the right to attend such banquets? And Chengyue will definitely go. Don't spout nonsense. The original owner hadn't attended such banquets in the past 2 years, so Su Yi wasn't sure if Shi Shang had an invitation. That was why she stopped and TCH, don't use any underhanded methods. May I ask if student Su Chengyue is here? A petite girl knocked on the door and peered into the room. What's the matter? Shi Shang got up and walked in front of the girl. The girl sized up Shi Shang, probably confirming Shi Shang's identity. After confirming, she handed the bag in her hand to Shi Shang. This is from Sister Wei Wei. Shi Shang didn't take it and frowned. Xiao Wei. The girl nodded. She's crazy. Girl. The girl stiffened. I've already given you the item. I'll be leaving first. She placed the bag in front of Shi Shang and ran off. Shi Shang picked up the bag and angrily rushed in front of Shi Shang and threw the bag to the ground. You're in cahoots with Xiao Wei. The bag fell to the ground and the item inside was revealed. The style was similar to Su Yi's, so and directly pulled it out. Other than the model, it was exactly the same as Su Yi's. Su Chengyue, how did Yi offend you? Why are you teaming up with Xiao Wei? Chengyue. You and Xiao Wei. Su Yi had a shocked expression, as if she had found out something incredible. You've got a lot of imagination. Why don't you go write novels? Xiao Wei must have found out about Su Yi's gown from somewhere, so she purposely sent it to her door to annoy Su Yi. Or maybe it was a threat. It all depended on how big the hole in Su Yi's imagination was. Su Chengyue, what are you trying to do? If you don't explain yourself today, don't even think about leaving this door. And turned to Su Yi and comforted her. Yi, don't be afraid. I'll protect you. Shi Shang looked at the two of them in amusement. F***ck, they're retarded. What are you laughing at? This is a school. Let me tell you, Su Chengyue. Don't think that just because you have some good looks and hooked up with a rich man, you're just a cheap slut who gets slept with. Slap. And was stunned by the sudden slap, and it took her a while to react. You hit me. Her family was considered well off and her parents had never hit her before. This slut actually dared to hit her. Watch your mouth. Su Yi, tie up your people properly. Don't let them out and embarrass themselves. Shi Shang waved his hand. Tie her up properly? Does this slut think I'm a dog? Su Chengyue, I'll beat you to death, you slut. And cursed as she pounced towards Shi Shang. Shi Shang nimbly dodged and stretched out his leg to trip and lost her balance and fell onto Su Yi, who was about to stop the fight. Su Yi's forehead hit the leg of the table. Su Yi sucked in a breath of cold air. her head was dizzy from the impact. And hurriedly got up from Su Yi's body. Yi, are you all right? Xia Ning, who had been standing far away, also hurriedly came over. Your forehead is bruised. Hurry and help Yi up. They didn't close the door just now, and it was such a big ruckus that someone had already called the management teacher. At this moment, the teacher brought a few students into the room. The originally spacious room now seemed a bit crowded. What's going on? The management teacher's face was stern as he sternly asked. Why are you fighting in the dormitory in broad daylight? Teacher, we didn't fight. Su Chengwei purposely pushed Yi and caused Su Yi to be injured. And immediately retorted. Teacher, look, Yi's head is bruised. Chapter 10. The teacher looked at Su Yi and saw that her forehead was indeed red. She frowned and asked, Su Yi, who pushed you? Su Yi shrunk back and glanced at Shi Shang before shaking her head. It's nothing, I fell down myself. How could the teacher not see through her attempt to cover up? You're not allowed to lie. Did she push you? What's more, she had met Su Yi on a daily basis. She was a pretty good girl who treated everyone politely. However, the girl beside her was usually a loner and didn't seem easy to get along with. She had even seen a luxury car pick her up and change her clothes when she came back. She had seen many girls like her. Thinking of this, the teacher couldn't help but side with Su Yi. No. Su Yi still wanted to explain. Yi, why are you covering up for her? Teacher, she is the one. Xia Ning and I can testify. Xia Ning hesitated. Seeing that Shi Shang didn't seem to care, she felt a little resentful and nodded. What's your name? The teacher looked at Shi Shang, clearly believing in An and Su Yi. Su Chengwei. Shi Shang stared at Su Yi with a smile that wasn't a smile. His stare made Su Yi feel very uncomfortable. However, when she thought about how she had no evidence, she calmed down. Student Su Chengwei, you got into an argument with a classmate and caused her to get injured. You're punished to sweep the field for a week. Do you have any objections? Teacher, you're just going to listen to their side of the story. Shi Shang raised a brow slightly. Just by asking Su Yi and the others, they're already convicted. This teacher is clearly biased towards Su Yi. The teacher's face darkened. She had only wanted to punish her a little, but this damned girl didn't appreciate it. Two students saw it with their own eyes. What else do you have to quibble about? As a student, you should act like one. Don't think about nonsense all day. This society is very complicated. Do you really think that your little thoughts will make you a phoenix? Shi Shang's face turned cold. Teacher, what do you mean? You don't even know what you've done and you still have the face to ask. And replied sarcastically. Su Yi's face was full of grievance, but her eyes were full of pride. Even if it wasn't true, with so many people saying it, who would care whether it was true or not? At this moment, there were already many onlookers outside the door. When they heard this, they began to whisper among themselves. A few days ago, I saw her get into a Porsche. Sometimes, a car would pick her up at the school gate. I don't know if she's been booked. I wasn't there that day, so I didn't see it, but I heard a lot of people talking about it. I've never heard of her being the daughter of a rich family. Which daughter of a rich family lives on campus? Are you stupid? Look at them. Which one of them doesn't drive their own car? She's not really a kept woman, is she? When the teacher heard the discussion, not only did he not stop it, he even became more confident. Student Su Chengwei, your way of doing things is very problematic. I will report this to the school and punish you. If you don't want people to know, don't do it in the first place. And became more and more pleased with herself. I'll return those words to you. Shi Shang turned back to his desk and picked up a toy from it. I'm really sorry, this is a new toy I just got. It can save an hour's worth of footage. Let's go to the head of teaching to discuss this, it'll be fair. Su Yi's face paled. She actually recorded it. Just now, it was indeed an who pushed her down. It had nothing to do with her, but they were saying that she was the one who pushed her down. If this matter reached the head of teaching, her reputation would be ruined. No. I can't go. However, Shishang made up his mind and took the lead to walk out the door. Teacher, let's go together. You just slandered my reputation. I believe that the head of teaching will give me a satisfactory answer. Chengyue, it's just a small matter, why make such a big deal out of it? Su Yi stopped Shishang. Small matter? The three of you tried to frame me and this teacher slandered my reputation. Is this a small matter? Chengyue, At this time, An also quieted down. She clearly didn't expect Shishang to have a video. Compared to a fight, the accusation of framing someone was much more serious. This was a matter of style. The teacher also felt a little guilty. She didn't have any proof that she was really being kept. She would be expelled for slandering a student's reputation. Thinking of this, the teacher also blocked the door. Student Su Chengyue, there's no need to disturb the head of teaching. You were the one who pushed student Su Yi first. Just apologize and this matter will be settled. Shishang didn't waste any more words. He directly took out his phone and dialed a number. Lawyer Wang, come to the school. I'm in the dormitory. Just come up. Shishang hung up the phone and didn't walk out. He turned around and pulled a chair over to sit down. The teacher was so angry that her face turned ashen. She actually called a lawyer. The people outside looked at each other in dismay. This development didn't seem right. To be able to call a lawyer so casually, it wasn't that she had a big backer behind her, but that she didn't do those things at all. Lawyer Wang arrived very quickly. He squeezed through the layers of girls. His heart was sweating. This was what it meant to pass through a field of 10,000 flowers. It took him a Herculean effort to squeeze into the dormitory. He pushed up his slightly crooked glasses and walked in front of Shishang. Miss Su. The people outside were stunned. The lawyer really came. Shishang nodded and handed over the things in her hand. She then explained the situation to him unhurriedly. Lawyer Wang pushed up his glasses and went through the situation in his heart. He said to the teacher and Su Yi, "These three students framed my client and pushed this student, causing her to be injured. According to the Public Security Administration Law of the People's Republic of China, they will be detained for at least 5 days and less than 10 days. This teacher slandered my client's reputation." The situation wasn't as serious as Lawyer Wang made it out to be, but this didn't stop him from making it sound more serious. After all, this was written in the law. If they didn't agree, they could hire a lawyer. No matter how powerful Su Yi and the other two were, how could they win against the lawyer? Their faces were pale and they didn't know what to do. Just as they were listening to Lawyer Wang's incessant speech, the head of teaching heard the news and arrived. How could he not come when the lawyer was already here? All right, stop crowding around. Go back to your dormitories. The moment the head of teaching arrived, the crowd dispersed. When the head of teaching arrived, he had already understood the situation. He directly reprimanded the teacher and expelled her in front of Shishang. The head of teaching sincerely apologized to Shishang. This matter wasn't his fault in the first place, so it wasn't wrong for him to apologize. If this matter really got out of hand, it wouldn't be good for their school's reputation. As for Su Yi and the other two, they were taken away by him. He said that he would definitely give her a satisfactory explanation. Once they left the dormitory, the head of teaching scolded the teacher who had reported the news. "I told you to remember all the rich second generations in our school. Where did your memory go? This time you only met Su Chengyue. If you meet someone like Xiao Wei next time, the school will be turned upside down." The teacher who had reported the news felt wronged. If it was someone like Xiao Wei, why would I need to remember? Everywhere I look, I'm a rich second generation, all right. Chapter 11. Afterwards, Su Yi and the other two were punished and had to apologize to Shishang in front of the entire school during the school assembly. Su Yi was furious. Wasn't it just because they didn't dare to offend Su Chengyue? They only knew how to bully people like her who had no money and no power. Since so many people had seen what happened that day, it was only natural that people would spread the news. Su Yi's reputation took a hit as she tried to frame someone else. Whenever she walked on the streets, people would point at her and gossip about her. Su Yi hated She Shang to the core. Because she was close to Ling Hao, she had attracted the jealousy of some girls. Now that this matter was out, Su Yi's days at school weren't easy. Unfortunately, Ling Hao wasn't around and Nangong Jing was overseas on a business trip. Su Yi had a hard time these few days. As for She Shang's identity, because of the rumors of her being a kept woman, everyone thought that it was because she had a rich and powerful backer. Because of the punishment, An and Xia Ning were even more dissatisfied with She Shang. However, they only dared to criticize him verbally. They didn't want to be bombarded by this woman's lawyer. She Shang was busy looking for an apartment and didn't have time to care about these people. She felt that if she continued to live with Su Yi, she would be disgusted to death. She didn't know if it was because she was lucky, but there just happened to be a student who was going overseas to study. An apartment was vacant and was very close to the school. She Shang accepted it without hesitation. However, she still had to stay at the school for a while because of the renovation. After paying the rent, She Shang came down from the apartment and met two people she definitely didn't want to see. Nangong Jing hugged Su Yi and met She Shang on a narrow road. She Shang started to scratch the wall in his heart. What kind of F***king probability was this? Mr. Plotline, you're not comfortable if you don't kill the supporting female lead. Su Chengyue, what's the point of you lingering around like a ghost? Nangong Jing coldly looked at the woman blocking his way. He raised his chin high and looked down on the world. Lingering around like a ghost your head. I'll laugh at your face. She Shang glanced at Su Yi. She was clinging to Nangong Jing like a little bird, her eyes filled with pride. However, the moment she spoke, she sounded weak and extremely aggrieved. Miss Su, I'm sorry about what happened last time. I didn't do it on purpose. At that time, I was a little dizzy from the collision. I didn't know that they would say that about you. After that, I also apologized to you in front of the whole school. What a beautiful statement. She had completely removed herself from the situation. I'll give you a thumbs up. Hearing Su Yi mention this, Nangong Jing's expression turned even colder as he impatiently said, Su Chengyue, move out of the dormitory. Nangong Jing, have you watched too many brainless dramas? F***ck. Is this school owned by your family? Do you think we can move just because you want us to? Nangong Jing's eyebrows twitched. Don't challenge my patience. I won't challenge your patience, but classmate Su Yi will definitely challenge your endurance. She Shang grinned evilly. Su Yi didn't react at first, but when she did, her face turned red. It was unknown whether it was from embarrassment or anger. Su Chengyue, how can you be so shameless? Is this how Uncle Su has taught you all these years? Nangong Jing was enraged. He never knew that the woman who chased after him in fear would say such words. I think I'm much better than you. She Shang had an innocent expression. Look, I didn't roll in the sheets with someone else in front of my fiancé, right? At that time, I should have called everyone here to take a look. Nangong Jing. Miss Su, you're going too far. Su Yi raised her head with teary eyes. I know that Jing and I are together. You don't feel comfortable in your heart. But feelings can't be forced. What do I have to do for you to let me go? Go too far? If you didn't do it, how could I go too far? F***ck, it's clearly you guys who won't let me go. Su Yi choked. Her misty eyes looked at Nangong Jing with grievance. Nangong Jing's protective instincts were instantly aroused. Enough. Nangong Jing berated in a low voice. Su Chengyue, I'm warning you one last time. I definitely won't like you. If you dare to cause trouble for Yi again, I definitely won't let you off. She Shang sneered. If she had to face Nangong Jing, She would rather face that pervert Chu Tang. Even pervert Chu was better than this arrogant Nan Gong Jing. Don't think too highly of yourself, Nan Gong Jing. Shi Shang paused for a moment before her disdainful gaze landed on Su Yi. Your taste really isn't that great. I was really blind when I fell for you in the past. Don't worry, I've already cured my blindness. I definitely won't look at you again. I'm afraid of getting an eye disease. Su Yi secretly cursed. This woman was beating around the bush to say that she wasn't that great. Nan Gong Jing's attention was still on the words, thinking too highly of himself. He never thought that these words would be used on him one day. And it was a woman who used to like him. Shi Shang walked around the two while waving his hand. Be careful of the little white flower climbing up the wall. Knowing that Nan Gong Jing and Su Yi might have a place near the apartment, Shi Shang dispelled the idea of moving to the apartment. Nan Gong Jing wanted her to move out of the dormitory, right? She wasn't going to let him have his way. Shi Shang stayed in the dormitory. Every day, he would see the three people who hated him to the core but didn't dare to do anything to him. Shi Shang's mood was pretty good. Su Yi didn't return that night. She only returned the next morning with a face full of health. Naturally, An and Xia Ning asked her about it. Su Yi said that she was staying at a hotel because she had relatives coming over. Shi Shang didn't give her any face and laughed. Su Yi instantly fell silent. That night was the banquet and the three people in the dormitory started dressing up in the afternoon. Su Yi wasn't wearing the same dress as the one Xiao Wei had sent over, but a different one. It was also white, but the skirt was slightly longer, making her look even more ethereal. Yi is so pretty. Ah, it's a pity I can't go with you. And Anne's face was full of disappointment. I'm sorry, Anne. Su Yi's face was apologetic, but if you looked closely, you could see the pride and arrogance in her eyes. Anne smiled and shook her head. It's fine, it's fine. You and Senior Ling have fun. In her heart, she was extremely jealous. If she could go to the West Auditorium, she might be able to meet a tall, rich, and handsome man. Xia Ning had also changed and the three people pretended to flatter her. Xia Ning then looked at Shi Shang who hadn't moved. Su Chengyue, you're not going to the banquet? Didn't you see that she didn't receive an invitation? No one invited her. Where is she going? An sneered. She can go to the South Auditorium with us. Don't joke around. With her status, how could she go to the South Auditorium with us? Su Chengyue, why don't you go hook up with one now? You might even be able to go to the West Auditorium. This shouldn't be too difficult for you. Xia Ning and An sang the same tune as Shi Shang. Shi Shang closed his notebook and smiled evilly at them. That's right, going to the West Auditorium isn't difficult for me, but for you. I'm afraid you won't have the chance to go until you graduate. An and Xia Ning's expressions changed. In the end, An stubbornly retorted, You're just relying on men, what's there to be proud of? Who do you think you are? At least I'm better than you guys who can't even rely on men. Shameless. How can you rely on men if you're shameless? In the end, An was defeated. When a person is shameless, if you can't be more shameless than her, then you can only silently endure it. Chapter 12. The West Auditorium leaned towards the European style, but the venue was not very big. Those who received the invitation were the top 500 in the country. Among these people, not all of them were studying in this university. Many of them had chosen to go abroad. Therefore, not many people came. Including their companions and some members of the student union, there were less than 100 people. Shi Shang didn't have a male companion. He stood alone in the corner and looked at the various people in the field. They all wore masks on their faces, and no one knew what kind of expression they had under those masks. But as a bystander, it was easy to see that they would show disgust, disdain, jealousy, and other emotions when the other party wasn't paying attention. What are you looking at that makes you so happy? A clear female voice sounded in Shi Shang's ears. Xiao Wei was wearing a tight-fitting gown that perfectly outlined her curves. She had exquisite makeup on, and her hair was wavy. Her every move was filled with boundless charm, and she was full of the aura of an older sister. Shi Shang glanced at her and felt bored, so he decided to chat with Xiao Wei. Don't you think they're fun? Where is it fun? Don't you think they're tired of wearing masks all day long? Xiao Wei was stunned. She looked at Shi Shang as if she was looking at a monster. Seeing that Shi Shang was still staring at the people in the field with great interest, Xiao Wei suddenly felt that she couldn't understand the girl in front of her. Although she was not very familiar with Su Chengyue, because she was Nan Gongjing's fiancée, she had collected quite a bit of information about her. However, the Su Chengyue in the information was clearly different from the girl in front of her. Su Chengyue was proud. She was a princess who had been pampered and spoiled, similar to the daughters of other wealthy families. However, the girl in front of her had an indescribable feeling about her. If she had to describe it, it would be malice. Malice towards everyone. What kind of newspaper was this? Xiao Wei was shocked by this idea. She looked at the girl next to her, who was still smiling like a cat that had seen a fun toy. How could she be dangerous? Xiao Wei felt that she was thinking too much and quickly shook that thought away. There's going to be a good show later. Do you want to join us? Shi Shang suddenly invited Xiao Wei. Xiao Wei suppressed the strange feeling just now and returned to her usual flirtatious and domineering self. With disdain in her eyes, she asked, "What show? What was this woman doing? I promise I won't let you down." Shi Shang had only invited Xiao Wei on account of the fact that she was a tragic supporting character who was quite unlucky. Xiao Wei thought for a moment and nodded slightly. She wanted to see what Su Chengyue was up to. Shi Shang had already locked onto Su Yi. So this ending, Xiao Wei stood beside Shi Shang and felt that his smile was too creepy, so she couldn't help but take a few steps back. Shi Shang waited for a while and sure enough, he saw Su Yi being helped away by someone. Ling Hao was also entangled with someone, so he didn't notice that Su Yi had disappeared. Do you have Nan Gongjing's phone number? Shi Shang turned to ask Xiao Wei. Xiao Wei nodded. Of course she did. Give him a call and tell him that Su Yi is drunk. Tell him to come and take her back. Why don't you call him? Xiao Wei naturally saw Su Yi being helped away. There was definitely something fishy going on. Shi Shang looked at her with a smile that wasn't a smile. It's up to you whether you call him or not. In any case, there's no loss for me. Xiao Wei frowned slightly. She turned and left for a while. When she returned, she looked at Shi Shang with an even stranger expression. She leaned towards Shi Shang. You did this? Big Miss Xiao, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. You were with me the whole time. Which eye of yours saw me do it? Xiao Wei thought about it. That was indeed the case. She had been right under her nose the whole time. Just now when she went to Su Yi's side, she only stopped for a while so she didn't have the chance to drug her. But she clearly knew from the start. Could it be that she was the mastermind? Xiao Wei felt that this was very likely, but for some reason, when she saw Shi Shang's cute smile, she changed her mind. I had someone use Su Yi's phone to send a message to young Master Jing. Xiao Wei lowered her voice and said, Your IQ isn't low either. Why was she so stupid in the original plot and ended up in such a terrible state? Mother, the author is so biased. Xiao Wei glared fiercely at Shi Shang. What did that regretful tone of hers mean? Chapter 13. Nan Gongjing arrived quickly. At the same time, Ling Hao managed to get rid of his entanglement and started looking for Su Yi. A waiter pointed the way and said that he saw Su Yi heading towards the lounge. The two of them ran towards the lounge at the same time. Shi Shang followed them while Xiao Wei hesitated for a moment before following suit. She was the one who sent the message. Even if they found out, she could say that she was just worried about Su Yi and that the whole thing had nothing to do with her. After Shi Shang and Xiao Wei followed them, the girl who drugged Su Yi pretended to be drunk and got someone to support her. The group of people followed them to watch the show. There was more than one lounge here. When people were tired, they would play in the lounges. Nangong Jing only received a message saying that she was in a lounge but not a specific one. He could only go one by one. Nangong Jing and Ling Hao's good looks naturally attracted a lot of attention. Perhaps it was on purpose, but Su Yi was sent to the last lounge. At this moment, people from the other lounges were lured out. The door to the last lounge was pushed open and an indescribable sound came out. Nangong Jing froze at the door and looked at the scene in shock. The lounge door was pushed open but the people inside didn't notice. Ling Hao heard the sound and came over from another lounge. When he saw the scene, he was furious. He pushed Nangong Jing aside and flipped the boy over. Ling Hao helplessly pulled Su Yi into his arms and covered her with the clothes that were scattered on the floor. Su Yi's body turned cold. She shivered and sobered up a little. "Senior, I didn't do it on purpose. I don't know why it's like this." Nangong Jing seemed to have been awakened by this sentence. He rushed into the room and slammed the door shut. There was a lot of noise coming from inside. The lounge's soundproofing was pretty good. To be able to make such a loud noise, it proved that the people inside were using a lot of strength. Shi Shang leaned against the wall, wondering if the two were having a party inside. Xiao Wei didn't know why, but when she saw Nangong Jing enter and close the door, she suddenly felt a little disappointed in him. Sometimes, liking someone is just a moment. Being disappointed is also just a moment. She turned around to look at Shi Sheng. Her eyes were bright as she stared at the door. It was as if she could see through the door and see the situation inside. "Who's inside?" "I don't know, but that man just now seemed to be young Master Jing." "What do you mean?" "It's young Master Jing. Senior Ling is also going in." "Who's the girl inside?" "Miss Su is also here. She's standing together with Goddess Xiao." "Heavens, what's going on?" "The more I think about it, the more frightening it becomes." These students were curious about who the girl inside was, so they naturally didn't want to leave. They all waited outside the door, and some people who heard the news also gathered around. Fortunately, the door opened not long after and Nangong Jing carried Su Yi out. Her face was covered so no one could see who it was. Ling Hao followed behind, carrying the unconscious boy in his hands. The boy was only wearing a pair of underpants, and his face and body were covered in blood, looking extremely tragic. Nangong Jing glanced at Shi Shang from the corner of his eyes. His eyes were bloodshot and his handsome face was cold. "Su Chengyue, I will definitely not forgive you for this." Ling Hao also looked over, and the coldness in his eyes made people shudder. Everyone retreated. These two people were too scary. Shi Shang and Xiao Wei were completely exposed. Xiao Wei wanted to retreat, but for some reason, when she saw Nangong Jing's angry look, she didn't want to retreat. Shi Shang stood up straight and took a few steps towards Nangong Jing. "Nangong Jing, are you trying to frame me? You dare say you didn't do it?" If he wasn't carrying Su Yi, he would have strangled this woman to death. How could she be so vicious? Why would I ruin my future for a woman who doesn't matter to me? Only you and she have a grudge. Who else could it be? He was too kind to her. He wanted her to live a life worse than death. From what young Master Jing said, it seems like Miss Su did it. Who exactly is young Master Jing carrying? I can't see at all. That gown seems to be Su Yi. That's Su Yi's gown. Someone in the crowd said, causing a huge commotion. "Su Yi? It can't be." Miss Su, young Master Jing, Su Yi, young Master Ling. What kind of relationship is this? It's so messy. Ah, Goddess Xiao is standing next to Miss Su. It was no secret that Xiao Wei liked young Master Jing. But she was standing next to young Master Jing's ex-fiancée. Could the two of them have done something together? Nangong Jing's sharp eyes swept across the crowd. If anyone dares to speak of what happened today, don't blame me for being impolite. The surrounding people instantly fell silent. The only ones present who could go against the Nangong family were probably the Xiao family and the Ling family. Su Chengyue, this matter isn't over. Nangong Jing was worried about Su Yi's health and didn't dare to stay any longer. If he wanted to take revenge for Su Yi, he could do it any time. Ling Hao gave Shi Shang a warning glare before leaving with Nangong Jing, carrying his men. Shi Shang silently gave him the middle finger. Idiot! Xiao Wei blushed with shame. This ex-love rival really didn't seem right. The crowd had the same thought as Xiao Wei. Shi Shang and Xiao Wei separated and returned to the dormitory alone. Xia Ning and hadn't returned yet. Shi Shang washed up and went straight to bed. Some people wouldn't be able to sleep tonight. Thinking that some people wouldn't be able to sleep, she slept especially happily. Ling Hao's villa. The sound of water splashing could be heard from the bathroom, and the faint sound of suppressed crying could be heard from inside. Nangong Jing and Ling Hao stood outside the bathroom, each taking one side. Their expressions weren't too good, but they both stared nervously at the translucent bathroom door. You've been showering for an hour. Come out first. Ling Hao couldn't help but knock on the bathroom door. But no matter how he knocked, Su Yi refused to open the door. Ling Hao glanced at Nangong Jing. The two men's eyes were red and they had nowhere to vent their anger. Their faces were slightly distorted. Su Chengyue. Nangong Jing gritted his teeth and punched the wall beside him. Blood immediately soaked the white wallpaper. Ling Hao went out and beat the boy a few more times to vent the anger in his heart. Then, he returned to coax Su Yi. This time, he finally managed to coax her out. Su Yi stood at the bathroom door. Her exposed skin was abnormally red. It was obvious that she had used too much strength. Her wet hair stuck to her cheeks and her eyes were red from crying. She looked extremely pitiful. Nangong Jing reached out to hug Su Yi. However, he hesitated. Su Yi's soft voice rang in his ears. For some reason, he remembered Shi Shang's words at that time. Be careful of the little white flower climbing up the wall. It echoed in his ears over and over again. Details that he usually didn't pay attention to suddenly appeared. All of them showed that Su Yi and Ling Hao's relationship was unclear. Su Yi sensed Nangong Jing's hesitation and her tears fell. Her heart ached with hatred and anger. Ling Hao coldly glared at him and carried Su Yi to the bed in the bedroom. Chapter 14. Although Nangong Jing had warned those people, the news still leaked out. There were so many people present at the scene and even the service staff, how could they find out who leaked the news? Su Yi already had a bad reputation before, and with this incident, her reputation was completely ruined. Shi Shang had already expected Nangong Jing to come looking for her, but she didn't think that he would kidnap her. Nangong Jing, I think you've really gone crazy. Shi Shang sat quietly between two burly men with an indifferent expression. The corners of her lips were slightly upturned, as if she was mocking him. Nangong Jing sat opposite her, his face full of vicissitudes, as if he had aged a few years. He didn't see any fear, panic, fear, or even love from the woman opposite him. He only saw calmness. Nangong Jing's heart was filled with irritation. Su Chengyue shouldn't be like this. I'll make you pay for what he has suffered 1,000 times over. After saying this, Nangong Jing awkwardly averted his gaze. He hated how calm the woman opposite him was, as if she didn't care about him at all. He wanted her to kneel on the ground and beg for mercy, to kneel and apologize to Yi. What does this have to do with me? Fucking idiot. You dare say you didn't instigate this? He had already found out who had drugged Su Yi, but he didn't believe that this had nothing to do with Su Chengyue. She must have been the one behind it. Only she would hate Yi so much and want to destroy her. Shi Shang nudged the burly man beside her, giving herself more space and shifting into a more comfortable position. If I was the one who did this, Su Yi would have suffered more than that. What did the original owner do wrong? Su Yi clearly knew that the drink had been tampered with, but she still gave it to the original owner. In the end, She even called Nangong Jing over. She was only returning what she had done to the original owner. She hadn't even done anything. How can you be so evil? Nangong Jing fiercely turned his head, his entire body filled with malice. Thank you for the compliment. You're not the first to say that about me. Unreasonable. Who was the unreasonable one? Male lead Darren. Your brain circuit is pretty King weird. I won't talk to you now. There will be a time when you cry. She didn't know if it was because she didn't have much offensive power, but Nangong Jing didn't tie her up. The car drove for a long time, and it became more and more bumpy towards the end. Finally, they went straight into the mountains. The car stopped in front of a villa in the mountains. Shi Shang was roughly dragged out. Nangong Jing ordered someone to lock her in a room on the second floor. This time, she was tied up. Host, why do you keep provoking Nangong Jing? Shi Shang twisted his body and quickly untied himself. It didn't seem to have lit up the host's skill. Because then I'll have a valid reason to torture him to death. Shi Shang threw the rope to the ground and touched his arm that was hurting from being tied up. Your quest did not turn the tables on the male and female protagonists. Because this was the first world, it purposely chose a simple one to let the host familiarize himself with the business. Yeah, I don't like them. Shi Shang took out a phone out of nowhere. His fingertips swiped on the screen a few times, and handsomely put it back into his pocket. To Shi Shang, these people were intelligent NPCs, and she was just a player. She could do whatever she wanted with them as long as she was happy. By the time the system realized this problem, it was already too late. Of course, this was a story for later. There was a window in the room. Shi Shang looked down. There were two people guarding the courtyard. Shi Shang pondered for a moment. How could he run in a more handsome manner? Just as he was thinking, he saw a familiar car appear outside the villa. F*CK, 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 why is Pervert Chu here? Chu Tang sat in the car and looked through the car window to the second floor. Shi Shang was startled. Even though the car window was dark, she could feel Chu Tang looking at her. The car didn't stop and directly drove past. From Shi Shang's direction, he could see a villa in the distance. This should be a mountain villa used for holidays. This kind of place was sometimes used for negotiations, so it wasn't unreasonable for Chu Tang to come here. Seeing this, Shi Shang let out a sigh of relief. He comforted himself that it was just a coincidence. Chu Tang's car drove into a white villa not far away. As soon as his car entered, a few bodyguards came out of the villa and stood respectfully on both sides of the car. The assistant got out of the car and opened the door for Chu Tang. Chu Tang got out of the car. He still looked like a noble prince with his hands in his pockets. It wasn't very elegant, but he did it with incomparable elegance. Young Master Chu, we found Miss Su's location. The assistant took a tablet from the bodyguard. On it was a 3D map of the villa. There was a red in one of the rooms on the second floor. Chu Tang glanced at it and smiled. Don't alarm them. Make sure she's safe outside. The assistant was confused. Shouldn't they rush in and save her? Then Miss Su would be so grateful that she would give herself to him? Young Master Chu's style was getting more and more unpredictable. Under such circumstances, the assistant could only strictly follow Chu Tang's orders and arrange for people to make sure Miss Su was safe outside. It wasn't easy for young Master Chu to find a girl he was interested in. He couldn't lose her just like that. The assistant was afraid that something bad would happen, so he personally went to keep an eye on her. In the evening, he saw a car enter Nangong Jing's villa. A man and a woman got out. He recognized the man. It was the young master of the Ling family. What a pity. Touching young Master Chu's things. Tui, touching young Master Chu's people. The young master of the Ling family would be in trouble. Go find out who that woman is. The assistant ordered the bodyguard beside him. The assistant tapped on the tablet in his hand. Immediately, a clear image appeared. The first thing it showed was the room Shi Shang was in. She seemed to have sensed something and stared straight at him, through the screen. Shi Shang was looking at the window. She looked for a while before looking away. At this moment, the door was opened. Seeing Shi Shang standing in the room with his arms crossed, Nangong Jing kicked the man beside him. "I told you to tie her up. What did you do?" The man was surprised and aggrieved at the same time. He had tied her up. Su Yi walked out from behind Nangong Jing and gloomily stared at Shi Sheng. It was all because of this woman that she had ruined her. Su Yi wanted her to live a life worse than death. Perhaps she was afraid that Nangong Jing and Ling Han would see the malevolence on her face, but she forced herself to suppress some of her hatred. "Tie her up." Nangong Jing kicked the man again. The man immediately walked towards Shi Sheng. In his heart he muttered, "I really did tie her up." Shi Shang stood there without a change in his expression. He took out his hand from his pocket. Seeing the thing in Shi Shang's hand, the man froze. The man's body blocked the view of the people behind him, so they didn't know why he had stopped. Nangong Jing impatiently urged him a few times, but the man didn't move. If one turned around to look at him, they would see that his forehead was covered in cold sweat and his eyes were filled with fear. Chapter 15. With the burly man blocking their view, the others couldn't see what Shi Shang was holding, but the assistant who had been monitoring the situation could see it clearly. She was holding a grenade in her hand. It looked like a military type, but there were some differences. The burly man only had one word in his heart: fuck. Where did this girl get this thing? What are you standing there for? Hurry up and tie her up. Nangong Jing was getting impatient. The burly man was drenched in cold sweat as he decisively took a step to the side, exposing Shi Sheng. With a grenade in her hand, how could he dare to go up and tie her up? At first, Nangong Jing didn't recognize what it was, but Ling Hao instantly recognized it. His expression changed as he pulled Su Yi to the door. "Su Chengyue, are you crazy?" Shi Shang tossed the thing in his hand, his face full of disdain. "Look at your stupid faces. You're already scared. It's just a toy. I found it in this room." Ling Hao stared at the grenade in Shi Shang's hand for a moment, but still couldn't tell if it was real or fake. Thinking about it, how could a rich young miss like her get her hands on a grenade? Furthermore, she had been searched before she was kidnapped, so she definitely couldn't have hidden something like this. This villa belonged to his uncle and he had children at home as well. It was reasonable for her to leave a toy behind when she brought it here for a holiday. "Su Chengyue, you're still trying to scare me even when you're at death's door. Tie her up. I'm going to teach her a lesson." Ling Hao ordered the burly man with a gloomy face. He then turned to Su Yi with a gentle expression. "Yi, you go out first." The following scene was too bloody, so it was better if Yi didn't see it. Su Yi gritted her teeth and tugged at Nangong Jing's sleeve, looking at him pitifully. Nangong Jing's dark eyes swept over Shi Shang before he brought Su Yi out of the room. Before they left, Su Yi secretly threw a mocking and smug look at Shi Shang. So what if she lost her innocence? These two men still didn't treat her like a treasure. The burly man walked up to Shi Shang and took the grenade from her hand. When he held it in his hand, he felt that it was very real. The feel and weight of the grenade did not feel like a toy. The burly man could not help but take a few more glances at it. Shi Shang took advantage of the man's distraction to dash towards the window. She had already opened the window. Now that she had pushed it open, the man didn't even have time to react before Shi Shang had already jumped over the window. "What a pity. I wanted to kill the three of you directly." Shi Shang jumped down after saying this. The moment the Shi Shang slipped from the man's hand, the grenade in his hand made a beep sound, followed by a violent explosion. The entire villa trembled, and the windows on the second floor were blown away. Cement splattered all over the place. There was a platform on the first floor. Shi Shang wouldn't be in any danger if he jumped down. The explosion wasn't very powerful and didn't affect Shi Shang. The bodyguards in the yard heard the explosion. They looked up and saw Shi Shang standing on the platform. Several of them rushed over directly, trying to catch Shi Sheng. Shi Sheng quickly jumped into the yard and threw out the grenade in his hand. The explosion sounded again. The bodyguards were blocked. Shi Sheng took the opportunity to bypass them and ran out of the villa. Seeing Shi Sheng run out, the assistant ordered the driver to drive the car over. Seeing the familiar car parked in front of him, Shi Sheng hesitated. His eyes changed rapidly several times, and then he opened the door and got in. There were only the driver and the assistant in the car. Shi Sheng had seen them before, so he was familiar with them. "Miss Su." The assistant's face was full of shock, surprise, doubt, and all kinds of strange emotions. This Miss Su carried a bomb with her. It was too terrifying, wasn't it? "Child Chu, I won't say that you are horrible anymore." Shi Sheng patted the dust off his clothes and looked at him calmly. "You saw it." The assistant nodded with a stiff face. "Then should I kill you to silence you?" The assistant swallowed. Why did he feel that Miss Su's expression was exactly the same as Child Chu's when he wanted to deal with someone who offended him? "I didn't see anything." The assistant changed his words instantly. The assistant sent Shi Sheng to the White Villa and ran out of Shi Sheng's sight as fast as he could. He wanted to live for a few more days. Shi Sheng pushed the door open and entered. Chu Tang was leaning on the sofa with his legs crossed on the coffee table. He was in a lazy posture. When he heard the sound, he turned his head slightly and a devilish smile appeared on his pretty face. "Miss Su really surprised me. A girl carrying a bomb with her. How could it not be a surprise?" Shi Sheng walked over to Chu Tang. "It's my honor to surprise Mr. Chu." Chu Tang looked at Shi Sheng with interest for a few seconds. He leaned forward slightly and pointed the notebook in front of him at Shi Sheng. The image on the notebook was of the villa after the explosion. Ling Han seemed to have fainted from the explosion and was being carried to the car. Nangong Jing and Su Yi stood at the side. Su Yi's eyes were red while Nangong Jing patiently comforted her. Shi Sheng glanced at it and lost interest. He closed the notebook. Chu Tang's eyes darkened. His voice was still clear, but there was a hint of danger in it. "You're letting them go just like that? Would you let someone who wanted to kill you go?" Shi Sheng didn't answer but asked instead. Chu Tang seemed to have gotten the answer he wanted. The dangerous look in his eyes faded and was replaced by a smile. Shi Sheng silently cursed. "This pervert wanted to kill I just now. Don't say that I'm paranoid. My instincts are never wrong. Why are you here?" Shi Sheng pulled himself back from his thoughts. She had thought that it was a coincidence that this man was here. But after seeing the assistant outside and seeing the surveillance footage, she didn't think it was a coincidence. "Miss Su, take a guess." "Guess your uncle." Could it be that Mr. Chu has fallen in love with me and chased me out of jealousy after seeing me leave with Nangong Jing? "You want me to guess? I'll disgust you to death." As expected, Chu Tang's smile faded a little. "Miss Su, have you heard of an idiom?" "What idiom?" Shi Sheng's heart was already on guard. "Trouble comes from the mouth." Chu Tang's beautiful eyes slightly narrowed. A smile slowly crept onto his face, but it contained endless danger. An invisible pressure was emitted from his body, making it difficult for people to breathe. Shi Sheng retreated. His eyes darted around and his expression instantly turned into that of a lackey. "Mr. Chu, did you hear something just now? I forgot to take my medicine just now. Mr. Chu, please don't hold it against a patient like me. What illness does Miss Su have?" Shi Sheng was shy and timid. "I have a disease called Mr. Chu's love syndrome. Mr. Chu is my medicine." Chu Tang. If it wasn't for the strange look in Chu Tang's eyes, Shi Sheng would have succeeded in flirting. The assistant and bodyguards hiding in the corner were all shocked. "Miss Su is actually flirting with young Master Chu. Miss Su, let's all give you a like." No, 365 likes. Chapter 16. Ling Hao had a slight concussion and his leg was injured by the explosion. The first thing he did after waking up was to take revenge on the Su family. However, before he could do anything, the Ling Corporation was suddenly reported for illegal activities. There was sufficient evidence. Everything happened so quickly that the people in the Ling Corporation didn't even understand what was going on before they were suspended by the Judicial Department. The companies that worked with the Ling Corporation also stopped working with them overnight. The families that were on good terms with them all avoided them. The creditors even came to collect their debts. The Ling Corporation was isolated and helpless. They were in a desperate situation. It's not that I don't want to help you. If I help you, I'll be finished with you. This was what the Ling Corporation heard the most. People who had been through life and death situations told them that someone had threatened them with some bad news. If they didn't help, those things would be made public. Who didn't have bad news in this world? It might be difficult to destroy a company, but it wasn't difficult to ruin a person's reputation. At this time, the Nangong family wasn't any better. Nangong Zheng suddenly brought back an illegitimate child. The illegitimate child was only 1 year younger than Nangong Jing. Back then, Nangong Zheng and Mrs. Nangong were married through a family alliance. That illegitimate child's mother was Nangong Zheng's true love. Nangong Zheng had already arranged for the illegitimate child to work in the branch company. After bringing him back, he let the illegitimate child work in the main company. Although it wasn't as good as Nangong Jing, it was still an extremely important position. Nangong Jing directly fell out with Nangong Zheng. However, Nangong Jing still didn't have full control of the company. Some people who were unhappy with him directly stood on the illegitimate child's side. Both sides were in a power struggle. Nangong Jing had lived a carefree life for more than 20 years. He had never felt so aggrieved. That illegitimate child had actually won over many people in the branch company. Once he entered the main company, he used flowery words to persuade a few people who didn't get along with him to support him. Big brother, I really have to thank you for giving me this opportunity to be the person in charge of this project. Don't worry, I'll do it well and won't let you down. The young man had a smile on his face. His voice was gentle as if they were biological brothers. Nangong Jing clenched his fists. The veins on the back of his hands were bulging. His expression was dark. He was almost done with this project. In the end, because of a wrong decision, this illegitimate child took advantage of him. Don't call me big brother. It's disgusting. Nangong Jing forced himself to calm down. He couldn't show weakness in front of his illegitimate son. The young man smiled. Big brother, we are related by blood. You can't deny that. When Nangong Jing thought of Madame Nangong who had fallen ill at home, he couldn't hold back his anger. He directly threw a punch at the young man's face. Who the F***ck is related to you by blood? You're just an illegitimate child. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? The news of their fight quickly spread throughout the company. Because the illegitimate son didn't fight back at all and was beaten up by Nangong Jing the whole time, the company's public opinion was biased towards the illegitimate son. Furthermore, the previously obscure annulment of the engagement was also dug out by others. Nangong Jing slept with another woman and was caught red-handed by his ex-fiancée, the eldest daughter of the Su family. The eldest daughter of the Su family couldn't take it anymore and proposed to cancel the engagement. If it wasn't for the illegitimate child incident, it wouldn't have been a big deal if it was brought up. But now that it had been dug up and people were adding fuel to the fire, the nature of the matter was completely different. Nangong Jing's cheating partner was also dug out. How she used the eldest daughter of the Su family to get close to Nangong Jing, how she had an ambiguous relationship with the Ling family's young master, and how she slept with someone at the cocktail party naturally couldn't be avoided. Everyone looked at Nangong Jing as if they were looking at an idiot. A woman who had slept with another man was actually treated as a treasure by him. Nangong Jing had endured a day of anger at the company. When he returned to the apartment and saw Su Yi's bashful and timid appearance, the scene of Su Yi being under someone else's body flashed across his mind. He took large strides towards Su Yi and pressed her against the table, causing the tableware on the table to fall to the ground. Jing, you're hurting me. Su Yi didn't notice that something was wrong with Nangong Jing and instead spoke coquettishly. The evil beast in Nangong Jing's heart seemed to have awakened. His eyes were red as he tore off Su Yi's clothes. Su Yi sucked in a breath of cold air from the pain. She finally noticed that something was wrong with Nangong Jing and began to struggle with all her might. Jing! Jing, what's wrong with you? Stop, ah! Jing, let go of me, let go of me. Su Yi's hands were bound by Nangong Jing and she was sprawled on the table, unable to move at all. Unlike the gentle Nangong Jing of the past, she had never been treated like this by him before. She was scared. But no matter how much she begged for mercy, Nangong Jing didn't respond. Instead, his actions became more and more uncontrollable. When the two were done, Su Yi's body was covered in bruises. She hugged her body and curled up in a corner of the sofa. Her tear-stained little face was filled with fear. Nangong Jing kept apologizing to her, telling her about his situation at the company and that he had gone crazy from anger. He wanted Su Yi to forgive him. I promise I won't treat you like this again. I was wrong, please forgive me. Nangong Jing apologized humbly. Although Su Yi was a little scared, when she thought of Nangong Jing's current situation, her heart ached. She choked out, "You really scared me. I won't do it again." Nangong Jing held Su Yi tightly in his arms and kept repeating this sentence. The two hugged for a while before rolling together again. This time, Nangong Jing was much gentler, allowing Su Yi to completely relax. Jean Man Lu, the city's biggest money-squandering establishment. The private room was luxuriously decorated and the lighting was extremely dim. The people who came here were all here to relax and have fun. However, the man sitting in the private room was extremely uneasy. He kept looking around as if there was someone watching him. Just as his nerves were about to collapse, the door to the private room was pushed open. The light was too dim, so he could only vaguely see a woman at the door. She was tall and slender, wearing a well-tailored long dress that outlined her exquisite curves. Her figure was graceful. Pa! The room suddenly lit up. The woman at the door came in and closed the door. She walked with small steps to the opposite side of the man. Her appearance was exquisite and she had a smile on her face. It was an extremely young woman. Her every movement was elegant and noble. Her eyes were extremely calm. Even when her face was full of smiles, there wasn't the slightest ripple in her eyes. The person who came was none other than Shi Shang. "You're here." The man stood up trembling. It was obvious that he was afraid of Shi Shang. "Is it done?" Shi Shang gestured for the man to sit. The man sat down cautiously. His face was full of fear and nervousness. "It's done. According to your orders, the Ling family will have more and more trouble in the future. If Ling Hao didn't participate in her kidnapping, she wouldn't have dealt with the Ling family." Shi Shang was never merciful to his enemies. Shi Shang nodded and took out a file from his bag. "Everything is here. Remember, if I can find your weakness once, I can naturally find you a second time. You have to consider the consequences of betraying me." Good morning, Cherub. Today's update is so early, 484 is very surprised. La 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 la. Chapter 17. The man couldn't wait to check the file. After making sure there were no problems, he said cautiously, "Don't worry, Miss Su. No one else will know about this." Shi Sheng nodded. "Let's go." The man looked like he had been granted amnesty. He couldn't wait to walk out of the room. The moment he opened the door, he heard a voice behind him. "Don't do anything immoral." The man's body stiffened. Cold sweat instantly covered his entire back. He turned to bow to Shi Shang before fleeing the room as if he was escaping from something. As soon as the man left, Shi Shang's image disappeared. He was as soft as a kitten. There were too many scandals about the Ling family. She didn't need to do anything in the future. There were plenty of people who wanted the Ling family to fall. Host, according to the data scan, you don't have any hacking skills. This body doesn't have any hacking skills either. Can you explain where you got them? The scandals were all created by the host's hacking skills. When the system saw this, it was dumbfounded. The point store hadn't even been opened yet. Where did the host learn hacking skills? This host didn't conform to common sense. I was born with it. Can't I? Then how do you explain the bomb last time? I refuse to answer your question. Shi Shang snorted. Don't you know how to read people's minds? Go ahead and read it. The host was getting more and more arrogant. After successfully silencing the system, Shi Shang tidied up his clothes and left the room. The man had chosen this place. It was said that it was very private. Outside was a square-shaped corridor, very much like the brothels of ancient times. Standing in the corridor, one could see the scene below. It was not very noisy. Groups of 2 or 3 people sat in the booth, whispering to each other. However, in some places where the light was extremely dim, there were scenes of decay. Shi Shang glanced at it and shifted her gaze away. She had no interest in a live erotic palace or whatever. Shi Shang walked down the corridor. When he reached the door of a room, the door was suddenly pulled open. A tall figure rushed over. The figure reeked of alcohol. Shi Shang instinctively dodged to the side. That figure fell onto the railing and leaned against it, looking extremely pathetic. Young Master Jing, let me help you. A woman with heavy makeup came out of the room, wearing very little. Get lost. Nangong Jing flung the woman away and stood up using the railing. His face was ashen. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw the woman standing 2 steps away. Nangong Jing's eyes were like a storm as he squeezed out a few words from between his teeth. Su Chengyue. He was drinking with those people inside, but when he came out, he saw a woman dressed in bright clothes. He didn't know why, but hatred welled up in his heart. Ex-fiancée. Shi Shang made an exaggerated expression as if he just recognized the person in front of him. What a coincidence to meet you here. Looking at that familiar smiling face, the hatred in Nangong Jing's heart surged. What right did she have to be so proud? You still dare to appear in front of me? Nangong Jing gritted his teeth. He actually let her escape last time. Why wouldn't I dare? I'm not the one who kidnapped you. I'm already being magnanimous by not holding you accountable. If you really don't dare to appear, then it's you. The reason why she didn't call the police was simple. Even if she did, with the Nangong family's ability at that time, they would be able to cover it up with a few words. Why should she waste time and effort? Letting him stay outside was also an extremely painful thing. Nangong Jing felt that this woman's smile was extremely hateful. Under the influence of alcohol, he raised his hand and slapped Shi Shang's face. Shi Shang instinctively retreated, but his back was pressed against a warm chest. An arm reached over his head and a slender hand accurately grabbed Nangong Jing's wrist. Gotcha! Nangong Jing's face instantly paled as his wrist drooped down weakly. The person who grabbed his wrist released it in disdain and took a clean handkerchief from the side to wipe it. Nangong Jing, you still have time to bully women here. Looks like your family's matter has already been settled. Chu Tang's voice was no different from usual, but when it fell into the ears of others, it sent a chill down their spines. You! Nangong Jing was a little dizzy, but he recognized who this man was. Chu Tang, the legendary business legend. He was actually related to Su Chengyue. Back at his house, the two of them had already hooked up. She even acted as if she had suffered a great grievance. This woman really knew how to act, even he was fooled. Nangong Jing glared fiercely at Shi Shang and allowed the woman standing beside him to help him into the room. Even if he couldn't afford to offend him, couldn't he avoid him? Shi Shang wasn't in the mood to care about Nangong Jing. He took a step back and increased the distance between him and Chu Tang. Why do I always run into you? Damn it, this is what you call a lingering spirit. Heh. Didn't Miss Su say that she wanted to chase me? Chu Tang glanced sideways at Shi Shang, observing the expression on his face. At this moment, she looked like a pet that had been fed food it didn't like, her face saying, I don't want to see you. Back at the villa, It was this woman who had said word by word that she wanted to chase him. Forgetting about this, Shi Shang's expression instantly changed. Mr. Chu and I are fated to meet each other. How about Mr. Chu accept my pursuit? Chu Tang laughed inwardly. He dared to bet all his assets that she definitely didn't like him. He didn't know what this woman was thinking, insisting on acting as if she liked him. It really made him curious. Miss Su, aren't you going to show some sincerity? To have a woman of the same kind as him pursue him, Chu Tang felt that he should enjoy the feeling of being pursued. Shi Shang really wanted to slap Chu Tang to death, but he forced a smile. Then what does Mr. Chu think would show sincerity? Damn pervert, I'm already throwing myself at you and you still don't have sincerity? Why don't you ascend to the heavens? I'll give Miss Su a chance. Within 3 years, if Miss Su's net worth can reach 1/10 of mine, I'll accept Miss Su's pursuit. How about it? It's that simple? Chu Tang smiled faintly but didn't say anything. The bodyguard beside him couldn't hold it in any longer. Do you know how much our young Master Chu is worth? Do you know how much 1/10 is? In 3 years, unless you sell off the Su family, who else can make that much money? Miss Su, where did you get the confidence to say such a simple word? All right, deal. Shi Shang quickly searched his mind for how much Chu Tang was worth. There's an additional condition. Are you done? Shi Shang exploded. Do you want to pursue me? Damn you, Shi Shang warned himself in his heart to hold it in. Mr. Chu, please speak. Miss Su, in these 3 years, you'll have to pursue me like a normal person. Why should I? System, are you sure this guy isn't here to cause trouble? F***ck, this pervert, even if I die, I won't be able to pursue him. The 2 bodyguards were stunned. They couldn't understand how rich people thought. Chapter 18. In the past year, she had been busy earning money and did not come to school. Naturally, she did not stay in the dormitory and did not have time to pay attention to the situation of her 2 roommates. She only remembered that the last time she went to the dormitory to collect her things, she heard and talking to someone on the phone. Her words were especially ambiguous and her clothes were also of a higher grade. And stared at Shi Shang and hugged young Master Lin's arm, silently declaring her sovereignty. I wonder when Miss Su will be free, I'll treat you to a meal. Young Master Lin. And called out in disbelief. She had finally made this rich second generation take a fancy to her and in the blink of an eye, he wanted to treat Su Chengwei to a meal. Su Chengwei, young Master Lin's girlfriend is me. How shameless are you to hook up with anyone you see? She did not dare to confront young Master Lin and could only shout at Shi Shang. This girl's brain must have a hole. Shi Shang finished his appraisal and retracted his gaze. We'll eat when the contract is signed. Before young Master Lin could react to his new girlfriend's words, a Porsche stopped in front of Shi Shang. It only took a few seconds to get into the car and leave. When the car had completely disappeared from young Master Lin's sight, he pushed an aside and scolded in a low voice. Are you crazy? How dare you speak to her like that? If she was unhappy just now, the project would have been finished. What did I say wrong? And did not expect young Master Lin to suddenly shout at her, and her expression changed. Have you taken a fancy to her? Young Master Lin sneered. I want to take a fancy to her but she doesn't like me. Do you know who she is? She is the daughter of Yunsheng Group and is now worth over 100 million. If she takes a fancy to me, I'll be happy to pay her. Young Master Lin did not care about An's reaction and directly left. He did not want to let the project in his hands slip away because of a woman. His family's I would beat him to death. And had been in this circle for a while and naturally heard of Yunsheng Group's Miss Su. However, she did not expect that Miss Su to be her roommate. Miss Su equals Su Chengwei? How could this be? And searched for the name Su Chengwei online and many reports popped up but there were no photos. However, from those words, she could infer that Miss Su was the Su Chengwei she knew. Thinking about what she had said before, she wanted to bang her head against the wall and die. Would the dignified daughter of the Yunsheng group be kept by someone? She could tell from many aspects that she wasn't an ordinary person, but why didn't she notice it? That's right. Su Yi was the one who had constantly hinted to her that Su Chengwei was being kept by someone. Thinking of Su Yi, and Anne's face turned ashen. In 3 years, Shishang's net worth had reached a tenth of Chu Tang's net worth. This time, Chu Tang didn't refuse and proposed to Shishang in front of mother and father Su. Engagement, marriage, everything went smoothly. Their relationship was extremely stable. Chu Tang had never had any other woman other than Shishang. No matter what occasion they attended, they always went in and out together. Chu Tang's considerate care for Shishang was envied by others. However, only those who were close to them knew that when the two of them interacted with each other, the smell of gunpowder was absolutely intense, as if they could fight at any time. Mother and father Su lived happily in their old age. The only regret they had was that they didn't get to see their grandson. Shishang had waited for Chu Tang to pass away in this world. Only then did she successfully leave the world and return to the system space. Having recovered her youthful and beautiful appearance, Shishang was overjoyed. She bounced around in the system space for a while before calming down. She sat cross-legged in front of the book that was half the height of a person. Congratulations, host, on returning. Host, how do you feel? The system's cold voice sounded. How do I feel? How do I feel? Shishang looked at the screen in confusion. Shishang propped up her chin and immediately changed the topic. I didn't complete the hidden mission, did I? Chu Tang didn't love her. She could feel it. Chu Tang had never touched her. Perhaps later on, Chu Tang treated her as family, but that love was definitely not mixed with the feelings between a man and a woman. It was as pure as it could be. Yes, the hidden mission was not completed. The screen in front of Shishang changed. Name, Shishang Prestige, 99,000 mission rank. F mission score, 75 contribution points. 1,000 hidden mission. Failed. The completion rate of the hidden mission is 60%. You will not be erased, but 500 contribution points will be deducted as a punishment. As soon as the system's voice sounded, the contribution points became 500. Shishang, the system store has been activated. Do you want to open it? The system store? Oh, there really is such a thing. Open it, open it, open it. The screen in front of Shishang immediately turned into an inventory. Items. What the hell? What the hell is this? From basic necessities like rice, oil, salt, dolls, to abilities, illusions, interstellar battleships, licenses, and lockpicking. Everything was there. Shishang looked at the icon of the interstellar battleship. It cost too many points. He couldn't count them all. Shishang decisively closed the store. It was too expensive. He couldn't afford it. Host, due to a bug in your last mission, you will now be scanned. Please do not resist. Bug. It should be referring to her hacking skills and the 2 bombs. This stupid system. Shishang rolled his eyes. What could the system store find? In the end, the system didn't find anything. The data it obtained was the same as the data it had scanned at the beginning. It still didn't show that the host had any hacking skills. The system was confused. This wasn't right. Do you want to proceed to the next mission? Initializing transmission. Hey, I haven't answered yet. He was definitely taking revenge. Slap. Shishang had just regained consciousness when he was slapped in the face. His body swayed and he fell to the ground. Cut. Who allowed you to sit down? Why did you sit down? Do you think you are Lin Dayu? How many times has this been? Look at your acting. Shishang was a little confused by the voice that was amplified by the loudspeaker. He shook his head and finally saw where he was. In an antique room, there was a classic beauty standing in front of him. Of course, if the beauty didn't look at him with such disdain and contempt, he would be even more beautiful. Sher Shang looked around, the blankness in her eyes swept away. Filming, showbiz, celebrity. These words quickly entered Sher Shang's mind. She took a deep breath and stood up. He glanced at the woman standing in front of him. She must be the one who hit him just now. She must have used so much strength on purpose. Sher Shang didn't know what grudge this body had with the person in front of him. He could only suppress it for now. He bowed to the director. "I'm sorry, director. I'll definitely pass next time." The director was a fat man. He was still angry, but Sher Shang was a little girl. Now that she had apologized so nicely, the director couldn't say anything. He waved his hand in annoyance. "Rest. We'll continue shooting later." The crew immediately dispersed after the director gave the order. The woman who had been standing in front of Sher Shang all this time snorted coldly. She held her noble head high and lifted her skirt as she walked off the stage like a proud queen. Sher Shang touched his stinging cheek and stared at the woman's beautiful back as she left. Please understand that the first story wasn't very long. Chu Tang is the male lead, but the male lead won't fall in love with the female lead so easily. The female lead won't fall in love with the male lead so easily either. But don't worry, we won't abuse you. We'll dote on you the whole time. Also, the setting of every world is a broken novel, so it's normal for abnormal characters to appear. Please don't be surprised or find it strange. You're welcome to voice your opinions. Please don't scold him casually. Be a loving cherub. Love you. Carrot. Finally, please vote. The second story was about showbiz. Chapter 19. The host was called Jiang Wan and lived in a second-tier city. When she was 10, her parents died in an accident and she lived with her uncle. Because the host's parents died in an accident, they lost a lot of money. The money was enough for the host to finish college. However, her uncle's family didn't treat her well. Not only was the money taken away by her uncle, she was also treated as a servant. They didn't even pay for her high school tuition. The original owner studied while working. She wanted to finish high school, but in her third year of high school, her uncle wanted to marry her to an old man in his 40s. The original owner didn't want her life to be ruined, so she ran away from her uncle's house. Afraid that her uncle's family would come looking for her, the host made up her mind and moved from the second-tier city to the first-tier city, Green City. After arriving in Green City, the host entered the entertainment industry. At first, she only took on a few minor roles. Later, because she was pretty, she was lucky enough to get a role as a servant. Later, she got a role as the third female lead in a drama. The character was likable and it was a youth drama. After it aired, the host became popular and signed a contract with Dongfang Entertainment. Because of this, the host met the tragedy of her life. Dongfang Entertainment CEO, Mo, the male lead of this world. Speaking of which, the host was completely unjustly implicated. She was only used as a shield for the female lead. The female lead was called Xiaoman and Mo knew each other since they were young. After graduating from high school, Xiaoman went abroad for no reason. Mo felt that Xiaoman went back on their promise. He changed from a warm man to a temperamental and overbearing CEO. But at this time, Xiaoman came back and entered the entertainment industry. When the two met for the first time, the original owner of the body happened to walk past them. Mo grabbed her and announced that she was his girlfriend. Xiaoman was so angry that she left. Mo also left the original owner of the body alone. The next day, Mo's assistant came looking for her and arranged the best manager and team. He was determined to make her famous. Mo's request was that whenever he needed the host to appear, she would be at his beck and call. Mo was a big boss while the host was a poor little star with no background. Plus, the host lived in other people's houses and was used to looking at people's faces. She developed an inferiority complex and didn't dare to disobey. She carefully stayed by Mo's side, not daring to have any extravagant hopes of liking Mo. Yes, in the original owner's heart, Mo was an unattainable god. Her love for him was as low as dust, and liking Shimo was an extravagant hope. With Shimo's protection on the surface, her path to stardom was definitely the smoothest during that period of time. However, following closely behind, there were still difficulties, ostracization, ridicule. In a place where Shimo couldn't see, she suffered countless tortures. Shimo's ultimate goal was to let the original host attract the attention of the novel's #1 evil female supporting character, and the original host had indeed succeeded. Under her cover, Shimo and Xiaoman had already reconciled. Everyone's attention was on her, and by the time everyone came back to their senses, Xiaoman was already famous throughout the country. At the same time that Xiaoman became famous, the original owner was exposed as a drug addict. All kinds of unnecessary charges were placed on her head, and her identity information was publicized by netizens on the internet. Countless people were clamoring for her to get out of the entertainment industry and get out of the earth. The original host hid at home, not daring to go anywhere. However, she didn't think that her uncle's family would come knocking on her door and force her to give them money. The original host didn't have any savings at all. When she was protected by Shimo, she appeared to be well off on the surface, but the contract she signed was the worst kind in the company, and the company took most of the money. She still had to spend her own money to learn all kinds of acting classes, bodybuilding classes, makeup and clothing. She had to pay for these things herself, so how could she take out the money? The original host didn't take the money, so her uncle's family slandered her even more on the internet. They accused her of things she didn't do, and forced the original host into a dead end. The only time the original host was ruthless was when she died. She collapsed in front of the media, leaving only one sentence. "The most evil thing in the world is the human heart. It can bring you to heaven overnight, but it can also send you to hell overnight." The original host had 3 wishes. The first was for her uncle's family to be punished. The second was for the female supporting character to have a taste of what she went through. The third was for her to stand at the peak of the entertainment industry. The original host's last wishes didn't have anything to do with the male and female leads. After Shi Shang accepted the plot, his chest felt stuffy, and it took him a while to get used to it. "This body is a bit stupid." That was Shi Shang's first reaction after accepting the plot. Then came his second reaction. This body must have been written by the author. As the female supporting character, this body didn't have any flaws. She was just a bit self-abased and weak, had a bunch of bad relatives, and had dreams. This kind of setting was more like the female lead's best friend. This kind of development path should be for the female lead to help the female supporting character deal with her bad relatives, change her personality, and then bring her along to show off. However, the author forcefully used this to highlight the male lead's protection and love for the female lead. It felt too out of place. Biological mothers were scary. Shi Shang tidied herself up and walked out of the washroom. The staff had already started to walk back to their posts. She wasn't too late, and had just been protected by Shimo. The show she was filming today was the second female lead role given to her by the manager Shimo had assigned to her. This show was adapted from a novel, and the response after it was aired was average. The plot was lame, and there were no highlights. Because the people in the theater made things difficult for her, the original host's performance wasn't good. This show became a black mark for the original host, and it was said that she was the one who ruined the show. Shi Shang ignored the director's angry roar and asked the makeup artist to touch up his makeup to cover the swelling on his face. Cheese are so pretentious. Shi Shang looked up at the person who spoke. It was the woman who had slapped her before, Lin Shanshan. This woman was an important character. In the million-word novel, she had written at least 500,000 words. She was the evil female supporting character in the early stages, and had made outstanding contributions to the cannon fodder of the villains. Lin Shanshan and the original host were both signed to Dongfang Entertainment. Lin Shanshan was the star of Dongfang Entertainment during this period of time. She originally wanted to recommend someone for the second female lead role, but the company arranged for the role to be given to the original host, so Lin Shanshan remembered the original host. "Lin Shanshan, I'll remember this slap for you." Shi Shang pointed at his covered face, his eyes flashing with malice. Lin Shanshan didn't know why, but she felt a chill run down her spine. Those eyes, which used to be filled with inferiority and cowardice, were now as dark as a wolf's. When Lin Shanshan came back to her senses, Shi Shang had already left. Lin Shanshan touched her chest. When did this B*TCH's eyes become so scary? Humph, she thinks she can scare me with just one look? Does she think I'm a pushover? The makeup artist beside her pretended not to hear Lin Shanshan's words. He packed up his things and left. Some cherub were confused as to why the female lead was so awesome. Cough cough there's a reason why the female lead is awesome. It'll be written later. Just think of it as a cheat. Because the female lead is awesome, I didn't ask the system to give her a cheat. I won't say it's to better torture the system in the future. Don't doubt it, Chu Tang is the male lead. Of course, the name will be different. Just think of it as a hidden mission. Actually, this is a transformation plan between two scumbags. It's just a matter of who's more thorough. It takes time for the scumbags to fall in love with each other. They won't fall in love from the start. It's not torture, really not torture. The scumbag male and female lead are just in love with each other. It's my birthday today, I'll add more later. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.